front, though, starting to push down from the north, introducing some cloud to some parts of England and Wales, and that's certainly the case as we go through the evening into the overnight period. A fair bit of cloud pushing its way south-westwards across England and Wales, bringing some patchy rain in places. So the clearest skies generally reserved for the north and northwest of the UK. Plenty of clear spells up across the north and west of Scotland, but as a result of the clear skies here, temperatures at their lowest. Could get down to -5°C in one or two spots here by Monday morning. When it's towards the south and east of the UK with a cloud around, temperatures generally holding up just above freezing, so the frost here much more patchy. So we start Monday with plenty of sunshine towards the north and west of Scotland, further south and east across the country, a bit more cloud around, the odd spot of rain in places, and fairly cloudy too for parts of Northern Ireland, and variable cloud as we head south into England and Wales, thickest towards the south and southwest of the UK. Here we can see one or two showers to start the day on Monday, but as I say, the frost will tend to be quite patchy here. As we go through the rest of the day on Monday, the sunshine towards the northwest will tend to fade. The cloud increases from the south and southeast. Elsewhere, though, a fair bit of cloud around, particularly towards the south and west of the UK. One or two showers down towards the southwest. And the sky starting to clear across the east and southeast of England. The dry air starts to move in from the near continent. Plenty of sunshine here into the afternoon, but temperatures still struggling, no higher than 7 to 10 Celsius. 10 down towards the southeast is 50 in Fahrenheit. Tuesday looks like getting off to a pretty frosty start, a lot of clear weather around, but we will see plenty of sunshine then as we go through the day on Tuesday. Just a small risk of a shower towards the far north and northeast of the UK. And temperatures on the rise as we go through the week. By the middle to end of the week, could see temperatures in the high teens in one or two spots. Plenty of sunshine, but rain by Friday.
We can expect clear skies, leading to a light and warm day ahead. Lovely. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
They catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Very good morning to you on this March 17th. Labour's welfare rift deepens.
The Health Secretary claims too many people are written off work as the government prepares to cut disability benefits for millions.
Some backbenchers argue draconian cuts to welfare will leave millions of people on the breadline.
So will this party infighting force the government to U-turn on its plans?
The former head of Ofsted has hit out at the Education Secretary, accusing her of putting the interests of unions ahead of children.
Geordies are waking up bleary-eyed this morning as Newcastle United beat Liverpool to win the Carabao Cup yesterday, their first domestic trophy in 70 years.
I put it to you, they're not waking up at all. Prince Harry is, though. His immigration files are set to be made public. Did he take drugs? Did he not? An American judge says his visa application must be released by tomorrow.
Happy St Patrick's Day. Today we're bringing you the luck of the Irish as GB News heads to Downpatrick for the annual festivities.
And as the Colonel of the Irish Guards, the Princess of Wales is set to make a solo visit to celebrate St Patrick's Day, and they've got very big dogs, those guards.
Shakespeare's birthplace is set to be decolonised over concerns that the playwright promoted white supremacy. We'll be speaking to Downton Abbey actor Peter Egan later on this morning.
And in sport, so it is all about Newcastle United, and I'm waking up bleary-eyed. I'm not even a Newcastle United fan as they win their first major domestic trophy then after beating Liverpool 2-1 in the Carabao Cup final at Wembley, the first time for 70 years. In tennis, Brit Jack Draper has won his biggest title yet, winning at Indian Wells, which is known as the unofficial 5th Grand Slam. And the unofficial 5th major in golf is the Players' Championship in Florida, and Rory McIlroy is in a 3-hole playoff later to win it.
Hello, good morning. We've got plenty of fine and settled weather in store across the UK today with high pressure dominating. There'll be some sunshine, but temperatures are still pretty disappointing for the time of year. I'll have all the details later.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this St Patrick's Day. Kate Miller Falcha. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello and this is GB News Breakfast.
You would never guess it's St Patrick's Day, would you, with us too?
Never guess with our green. Well, I knew you'd be in green, so I thought I had to blend.
Yes.
This is nice. What's this? Has it got like a little scenery on it?
Well, it's ruined now. You've pulled it out of its
socket. Back in again.
Yeah.
But it looks like the mountains of Ireland and then the green of Ireland.
Oh,
no, I really have ruined it.
You make it whatever you want to make it. That's the important thing. Today's a very important day. If you are Irish, it was an important day. To me, it was the most important day of the year for my father and my mother. My father never worked on St Patrick's Day.
Really?
No, never.
Is it a holiday in Ireland?
He used to work. It is, but it's not total. It is. It used to be split on a religious basis. The Protestants never took it off, and Catholics did. But now it's celebrated by everybody, which is a huge advancement, I have to say.
Nice. And what would you do on St Patrick's Day? Would you
get drunk? Most people do.
Okay.
That's what they do. They drown their shamrock, as it's called.
Yeah.
But what I would do on St Patrick's Day is that we would get up and we would go to an Irish Mass at 11 o'clock in the morning at St Patrick's Cathedral, and we'd go that, and then you're blessed with this bone of St Patrick in this hand that they have.
Oh, what, like a real one?
Sorry you asked me now, and you get blessed with that.
With the bone, that's...
Then we would have gone as kids, my dad would have put us all in the car with my mum, and we'd have gone and we'd have had some sort of lunch or late breakfast or whatever in Hollywood. And then we went down to Bangor, which is a seaside town, and the highlight of being in Bangor was visiting Woolworths. So we'd go to visit Woolworths. Get
sweets?
No, get toys.
Oh,
get toys there, so you would. And that was great. And then Daddy would bring us home. We would have fish and chips in Long's fish and chip shop in Belfast. And then my daddy would say to Mum, "Are you okay, girl? Is everything okay?" And he said, "Do you think I should go out? You go out and enjoy yourself tonight." And my mother used to say it was the only day of the year my father ever got drunk. I think that might be an exaggeration. But anyway, it was the only day of the year he ever got drunk, so he was allowed to do that. So that was our St Patrick's Day, very special for our parents.
Happy memories.
Yeah, happy memories. Very happy
very
memories.
nice.
Any Irish in you, Paul?
Unfortunately, no, I don't think there is.
Well, you should lie.
I know. Well, yeah, I should. Yeah.
You could be Irish today.
Maybe I'll go to there's no Woolworths anymore, you see. Maybe I'll drink Guinness or something.
Fish and chips, I think you can manage that.
It's the thing I couldn't stand is when on St Patrick's Day and then everybody goes out and then you see them in the tube stations with those crazy high Guinness hats on, you know?
Yeah.
I like your stories. I like that's the proper way.
That's wholesome family.
That's a lovely
content.
way of spending St Patrick's Day.
Very nice.
It was indeed, and it has changed, as you say, and it's like everything else. It becomes Americanized. You know, where they dye the rivers in
Chicago. That's right. Yeah, dye green, don't they? Yeah.
Does that annoy you when Americans claim to be Irish and it will be about 200 years ago that they were Irish? Or do you like it? You like everyone's...
No, because the Irish diaspora, as it's called,
Huge.
I mean, there are more people of Irish descent in England than there are of English descent.
Yeah.
Massive amount. And the same in America, so, you know...
So it doesn't bother you in the States when someone goes, hey, Eamonn, I'm Irish. And you go, no, you're not, you're American.
Like Joe Biden.
Hey, my father's father went to Dublin once. I'm Irish. It's like, no, you're not.
It's like Joe Biden would say he's Irish.
Well, look, the lovely thing is
American.
everybody's Irish today.
OK, I'm Irish today.
You're all welcome.
But that's the thing about our national day. We throw it open, everybody celebrates, where I always am surprised that there's an embarrassment about St George's Day.
Yeah,
no one can really say they're English. Or whatever. I'll be anybody's day. I will.
Yeah, great.
I'll join in anybody's day. That'd be good.
I'm all in.
Right. Share your experiences of St Patrick's Day with us, and we'll share them with everyone else.
We will. Let's have a look at our top story today. The government will unveil a major overhaul of the disability benefit system tomorrow, meaning only the most severely disabled will be able to qualify.
Now, this follows criticism that the UK is overdiagnosing mental health conditions, for instance, with the number of people claiming disability benefits for anxiety and depression doubling in the past 10 years.
Well, here's what the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, told GB News yesterday.
Should you be getting a PIP payment for ADHD, yes or no?
I think it very much depends on the nature of the condition and the severity.
ADHD, a PIP
These things are a spectrum,
payment.
so I think it very much depends. We are looking at this whole issue of eligibility, and we are looking at this whole issue of overdiagnosis, because I am concerned that we have overdiagnosis of these conditions.
But with MPs already rebelling and the government backpedalling on proposals to freeze some of these payments, will they be able to push their reforms through? Well, we're going to get the thoughts now of a man who's got his ear close to the ground at Westminster, Special Advisor Oscar Redrop. And Oscar, it's interesting to hear you've got this socialist government, which acts, I think, increasingly unsocialist. It's amazing that, you know, they come along and they say, this is the sort of thing you may expect maybe more from a Conservative government than a Labour government. But where's the rebellion coming from? What size is this rebellion which is saying, oi, Starmer, before you go any further, think twice about this?
Well, it's really hard to put numbers on these things, and those that are, you know, leading the rebellion traditionally would be the centre to the left of the Labour Party, you'd imagine. They'll inflate the numbers in terms of when it goes to a vote. They'll say, you know, we've got hundreds of us, you know, but you can always kind of halve a rebellion by what you hear in the newspapers, I would say, generally speaking. But to your point, Eamonn, it is really interesting what's going on now. You know, with the abolishment of NHS England just last week as well, the Labour government are parking their tanks firmly on the right of politics at the moment, and they're squeezing. In many ways, they're kind of squeezing the life out of someone like Kemi, who's trying to get going. You know, really try and get, you know, the train on the track from a Conservative perspective. And I think that a real push amongst the Labour Party hierarchy at the moment is how can we render the Conservative Party completely obsolete, just completely suffocate them? Because really, this is an issue that. And actually, this is quite an elephant in the room sometimes. A Labour government can get away with stuff a Conservative government can't. You know, the nasty party. If the Conservative Party were going to push through a proposal like this, we'd be hearing a lot more heartache and noise, I think, out there. And the Labour Party are playing quite clever politics. And then on top of that, I think you've got a Keir Starmer now who's been in the job a little bit of time. You know, he had that relatively successful week, I would say, diplomatically, in terms of foreign policy. And they're kind of flexing their muscles a bit now. I think they're saying, like, come on, let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can get away with. On the issue itself...
Why do they have to get away with it, Oscar? You know, I know they'll go back and they'll talk about this black hole and whatever, but basically they're sitting in the hot seat. They can do whatever they want, and if they were truly socialist, they would not be doing this, nor would they be freezing winter fuel payments or attacking the farmers with inheritance tax or whatever it happens to be. Really, I look at these things and I think just really non-socialist policies.
Yeah, but you know, as I said, you know, that is them with their ear to the ground. I think Morgan McSweeney, who's gone into number 10, you can see a real... They've got that almost that reform kind of threat hat on as well. Because actually, I think amongst a lot of people, we don't like the idea, actually, of people who, when we go out to work every day, we're all here, but like when, you know, people, hard work, they get up early in the morning, they're grafting all day long, they don't like the idea of someone who could be doing that, getting paid, maybe the same as them, you know, ultimately in terms of benefits they receive. So I think under the surface, this is quite a popular kind of policy area to look at, but we don't know the details yet, which is a bit of a joke, to be frank.
And there does seem to be some confusion in the ranks about that, doesn't it? It looks as though the plans may have been diluted over the weekend with these PIP payments, but then you've got that strong rhetoric from Wes Streeting saying that mental health has been overdiagnosed.
Well, I love that from Camilla, where she's just like, ADHD. Well, you know, just going through the conditions, and you can see how uneasy he looks. And this is when, actually, the kind of the fun of Westminster and the briefing and the rebellion can actually be really, really bloody cruel, because there will be people who, you know, will have their conditions, who receive these payments, and they're watching these politicians go back and forth playing this game on TV, briefings into the newspapers, and they're thinking, this is my life at stake, and you're playing politics with it. And that is, I mean, whatever political party you back, or, you know, whichever colour that is, you know, that's wrong. That is wrong.
I'll tell you what I think's wrong. I think Starmer and his whole outlook. Who is he? What is he? 1 minute he's on Jeremy Corbyn's shoulder and he's as left as you can get, sort of thing. And the next minute he's right of Boris Johnson, you know?
Dawn Neasdom, our very own, GB News' very own, she pointed me in the direction of a tweet from 2016 where Keir Starmer was absolutely calling out the inhumane kind of disability cuts that the Tories were looking to push through at that time. And it just taps into that thing that everyone in the back of their mind, when they go about their daily life, suspects about politicians, which is that they shapeshift. And they have no moral compass.
No moral compass.
And Keir Starmer is politically very good at that. That's very, very good at that.
But unless people have a memory and they can see through him, I mean, I personally don't think he has a snowball's chance in hell of ever being re-elected again. Him personally, I'm not saying a different leader of the Labour Party wouldn't be re-elected, but him, surely people see through him.
Well, you know, he's isolating people. He's isolating groups in society one by one at the moment. And, you know, the farmers, relatively small, admittedly, but he's winter fuel, the winter fuel stuff, so old age pensioners. And the other thing here, which I think is forgotten about, if you really think people should be in work, and I think most people do, work is good for your mental health, it's just, you know, it's good for the economy, blah, 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 then the attack on businesses in terms of that national insurance rises, you know, that's where most people get their first job. So you're telling young people, stop all the snowflakey stuff, mate. You know, you don't have a mental health problem. You need to get out there and get to work. Yet you're stopping the people that would probably employ those people from being able to do so with, you know, horrific tax, basically a tax on jobs ultimately. So it's not joined up, and that's when the shape-shifting kind of gets caught out a little bit. But we'll see what happens. But at the moment, it's a mess. And there are people's...
Oscar, you've set the thought process up for today on what people should think, which brings us to our poll of the day, asking you what you think.
Do you back Wes Streeting's crackdown on sickness pay in a bid to get people back to work? Let us know what you think. You can scan the QR code on your screen now, or you can head to gbnews.com/poll. As always, the final result will be announced later in Martin Daubney's show.
Oscar, you see, this idea will take away your benefits and that'll get you back to work. seem to forget, if you've got a disability, for instance, you can't get to the bus, you can't get off the bus, you can't get through the office. There's lots of things you can't do because physically you can't do it. It's not as simple as saying, if we take 30 quid off people, that's going to solve the problem.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is where, you know, where Camilla's just going through the specific conditions on the Sunday show yesterday with Wes, where it gets really quite gruesome in many ways, because you're asking people, and this is the joke, the government don't know. You know, they're saying, like, so if you can wash yourself, you know, using your top half of your body, but you can't, you know, and you get into this kind of level of detail that is really, really fundamentally uncomfortable and difficult to talk about. And the Tories bottled it, ultimately, because this is, again, stuff that the Tories, we have a welfare bill in this country that the Tories didn't quite have the stomach to really confront. And I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating to see if the Labour Party can do it, because a lot of the back and forth and the U-turning we've seen isn't really, I don't think, a result of public pressure yet, because most people are just getting on about with their lives. It's about their backbench MPs.
I'll tell you this, I could be elected tomorrow. Absolutely, I could be elected as an MP. This idea that we don't have any money, it's a nonsense. It's an absolute nonsense. We're a very rich country, but we spend all the money and we spend it on completely the wrong things. And we're not talking about lives, people dying because we're not spending the money. We're talking about social gatherings and singing and all sorts of nonsense, rubbish, and it could be put to bed too. If I was an MP or I was in government, that's more importantly, you could make these cuts everywhere, absolutely everywhere, and it wouldn't affect anybody.
Well, let us know what you think. gbnews.com/yoursay. Thank you, Oscar. Good to see you. Now, across the pond, Prince Harry's visa files will be made public tomorrow following a ruling by a court.
Well, the judge has set a deadline to confirm whether the Duke of Sussex was truthful on his paperwork. While it's not clear exactly what material will be released, the files could include information about whether he dabbled in drugs or not.
Well, we're joined now by royal broadcaster and photographer Helena Shard. Good to see you this morning, Helena. And if you've read Spare, you'll know that Prince Harry's very open, isn't he, about his drug taking in the past. So it's going to be interesting to see if he was honest in his visa application.
Well, we're absolutely waiting for it. Yes, he admitted he took cannabis, cocaine and magic mushrooms, as we know in Spare, and also the Netflix series. He said that. There's been so much talk about it, and obviously Judge Carl Nichols originally said he refused to release any footage, saying that he basically because of Prince Harry's privacy. But as we know, Trump, border security and application of rule is one of his priorities. And I do see Harry as a pawn, really, for Trump and collateral. So everyone's waiting to see what happens. Tuesday is the day, D-Day. Apparently, there's 4 documents. 3 of the documents are going to be released. So we're all waiting to hear, has he entered the country illegally? Did he lie on his visa form? What we do know is it's the Heritage Foundation. Niall Gardner has really been pushing this forward. He's the Tory think tank. He really feels that there is some dodgy dealing going on. We don't know whether Prince Harry is quaking in his boots, but he quit being a working royal. Well, did he get preferential treatment? We don't know. There is possible misconduct. Apparently, DHS says that actually releasing the paperwork won't shed any light onto how things work. But there are thoughts as well that he could have entered on a special visa. Now, this is an A1 visa that deals with immigration paperwork. And it's a special kind of visa for heads of states and royal people. So Prince Harry could have got through on that, but we're waiting to hear. It's D-Day tomorrow, and especially, as I say, Niall Gardner, he's a great guy, has pushed this forward.
Helena, well, thank you very much indeed for your analysis. Much appreciated. We have to leave it there. Royal biographer Helen Shard. Let's have a look at some of the other stories we've got coming into the newsroom on this St. Patrick's Day.
And the Vatican has released the first image of His Holy Father, Pope Francis, since he was taken to hospital more than a month ago with pneumonia. In a written statement, the 88-year-old said he faces a period of trial, and he thanked well-wishers for their prayers.
A British tourist is missing after a fire broke out on a diving boat in Thailand. 26-year-old Alexandra Clark was reportedly in the bathroom when the blaze started on Sunday morning. Local police have said at least 16 people on board were tourists.
Police in North Macedonia have made 10 arrests after at least 59 people were killed in a fire at a nightclub. More than a dozen of the most seriously injured have been flown to neighbouring Bulgaria for treatment. The country has declared a 7-day period of mourning for the victims.
Well, the weather, God seems to be smiling on us today. Let's go to Market Patanga for the St. Patrick's Day forecast.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll see plenty of sunshine across the UK today, a lot of fine weather in store, but temperatures are still pretty disappointing for the time of year. High pressure is generally in charge at the moment, and that's giving plenty of sunshine across the northwest of the UK this morning. Quite a frosty start here though. Elsewhere more in the way of cloud around, and that's making the frost more patchy, and also the cloud thick enough down towards the southwest to give 1 or 2 showers during the first part of the day. As we head through into the afternoon, cloud will tend to increase across the northwest, and on the whole, many southern and western parts of the UK will see a fair bit of cloud around, but the best of the sunshine by this point across the east and southeast of England, and temperatures in the range 7 to 10 Celsius. 10 down towards the southeast is 50 in Fahrenheit. So we end the afternoon with quite a bit of sunshine across the mainland of Scotland, a bit of patchy cloud up towards the Northern Isles, and across some southern and central parts of mainland Scotland there. For Northern Ireland, also some patchy cloud around with the best of the sunshine across the east of Northern Ireland, whereas for England and Wales, a bit of an east-west split to end the day. Certainly a fair bit of cloud across Wales and the southwest of England, with the best of the late sunshine reserved for some central and eastern southeastern parts of England. Going into the evening then, through the overnight period, the cloud will tend to push away towards the northwest of the UK. That allows skies to clear from the southeast across most areas. We'll pay the price for that though as we go into the early hours of Tuesday. Notice the blue colours appearing on the chart quite widely, indicating a pretty widespread frost as we go into the early hours of Tuesday. Temperatures across parts of Scotland could dip down to -7, even -8 Celsius by Tuesday morning itself. Even further south, temperatures a few degrees below freezing. So we start Tuesday then with that frost around, and that will only slowly lift across some southern and central parts of Scotland there, and elsewhere with plenty of sunshine around though, and fairly gentle winds. It shouldn't feel too bad out and about. That sunshine pretty much wall to wall for many parts of the UK. Just a bit of patchy cloud there towards the far northeast and an isolated shower there. But notice the temperature still pretty disappointing in the range 6 to 11 Celsius.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
After the break, away the lads. do you know what?
It's Newcastle.
It's a chant.
Oh, is that a thing?
Away the lads. I remember the first time I heard that, 1972, and I was in the Newcastle end at Old Trafford, and I thought, what language are they speaking? What is this? What does it mean? Paul Coyte will tell you after this.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop star to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking,
This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
down to earth,
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
and most importantly, honest,
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here with an exclusive opportunity just for you, our incredible GB News viewers. We're giving you the opportunity to win a VIP studio tour right here at GB News HQ. Plus, you'll also get to meet yours truly. It's easy to enter, just head to gbnews.com/community competition and follow the easy steps. Don't miss out, enter now, and I'll see you soon at GB News. Full T's and C's apply.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
Well, so here we are. Lent has started, and a lot of Christians across the world give up something for Lent. So it's a period of abstinence.
It certainly is. Well, we'll bring you daily reflections from ministers around the United Kingdom. And here is today's message.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hello, my name is Marjorie and I am a minister here in the north of England. I'm actually Irish. I was born and brought up in Dublin. And today, March 17th, is St. Patrick's Day. I have such fond memories of this day growing up, which was like another Christmas for us. The parades, the day off school, wearing green, the shamrocks, the parties on the streets, the pubs full at night. So who was St. Patrick exactly, and what is this shamrock all about? St. Patrick is known as the patron saint of Ireland, or the Apostle of Ireland. Interestingly, he wasn't actually Irish himself, but he was an active missionary to Ireland in the 5th century, and he is credited with bringing Christianity to the country, converting a pagan culture to believe in the great news of Jesus Christ. He used the visual image of the shamrock, a 3-leaf clover, to explain the Christian God. Father, Son, and Spirit. 3 separate persons, but one God. We don't remember or celebrate St. Patrick for the parades and the parties. He was actually a radical who shaped his whole life around his deepest beliefs. St. Patrick paid a price for his mission in life. He was captured and tortured, but he was someone who had simply had an experience of Jesus Christ and his incredible love and power, and his ability to set people free. And St. Patrick wanted others to experience this good God and the freedom that he offers us. I'm going to end by reading from St. Patrick's breastplate, a prayer of protection for believers at the start of the day. Christ with me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, and Christ in me, the hope of glory.
Well, I get St Patrick's breastplate, that's good, but Marjorie, you didn't mention the big thing, the one thing St Patrick's famous for.
Goalkeeping?
What?
Oh, the snake.
The snake.
The snake.
The snake. Yes, Marjorie, you missed that important.
There are no snakes in Ireland except people-type snakes, but because Patrick got rid of them all.
Yes, exactly.
What, all of them?
With his
Did he?
staff, right? He put it on the ground.
Yeah,
With his staff? What, his people?
We don't have any snakes.
Right, because of St Patrick.
But you didn't know that.
Oh, there you go.
I might have done.
There you are.
Just pretended I didn't make it sound
What
better.
you do know is today everybody's Irish, a lot of Irish in Newcastle, and they'll be celebrating. They won't need an excuse to
Can
celebrate
you imagine
today.
Irish Geordie? The fun, honestly, how are you going to be feeling tomorrow over the next week?
Everything's come together for them. Well done. I thought it was a very, very good win yesterday.
I thought it was a great performance. I really did. In Newcastle, they just, all you want from your team is to go out and give everything. And not only did they give everything as far as I was concerned, they played really well. They deserved the win. I like the fact that Arne Slot afterwards, I always like Arne Slot, that he came out afterwards and said, well, when people were asking him, saying, well, do you think it's because you were tired? And he said, you know what? That would be disrespectful to Newcastle. Absolutely not. They were the best team.
Well said.
I've got to give it to him.
Well said, yeah.
Now, Lee Ryder. Now, Lee is, honestly, if it comes to people that are writing about Newcastle and Newcastle journalists, Lee Ryder from the Chronicle, he's been covering Newcastle probably since the last time they won a trophy. And we've got Lee with us now. Morning, Lee. How are you feeling this morning?
I'm feeling absolutely fine. I'm buzzing after seeing Newcastle finally make history at Wembley. And what a day yesterday. There's people are going to be partying for many months ahead now. It's just a fantastic thing for the club, the city, the people, for Eddie Howe's staff and the players. Unbelievable stuff.
And Lee, it's a very unifying thing for the city of Newcastle. And the advantage that you have there is you only have the one team.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a one club city. Last night, you'll have seen the pictures. We had 33,000 fans down here at Wembley, but the streets were packed in Newcastle outside St James's Park. People climbing lampposts, jumping on phone boxes, just trying to celebrate. This is just absolute history unfolding in front of our very eyes, and I'm sure this is just the start of it as well.
Well, this is it. So many clubs always say, and top people in football say, once you win that first one, that's the most difficult thing, is then trophies follow after that. Is that how you truly feel now, that this is just the start of it?
Yeah, I do, and I think, the first one's always the hardest one. You look at Manchester United back in the day with Fergie when they won that first FA Cup in 1990. And they went on. I'm not saying Newcastle are going to go on and do...
Did they go on and do anything after that? Was there anything that happened after? I don't remember.
Only for the next 30 years.
Yeah. It's just getting that first one, up and running. And, Eddie Howe yesterday, I thought, he's magnificent. He actually had a few tears in the press conference thinking, of people that have passed. And I just think, the guy... just covers himself with great decorum, and he's fully worthy of all the praise he's getting.
Yeah, class.
But Lee, I think you say you're not saying they would follow Manchester United or whatever, but there's no reason why they can't. They've got the financial backing, they've got the infrastructure within the club, they've got a heck of a coach in Eddie Howe. Why not? Yeah,
well, that's got to be the next step, isn't it? And I think, with PSR and the rule book and FFP, they can't just build like, Blackburn Rovers did in the day. Man United spent a bit of money. They've got to do it stage by stage. But look, Eddie Howe's an unbelievable coach. He's got the best out of this squad. There's 4 or 5 players on duty from the team he took over 3 years ago. So he's done it with players who he inherited a lot as well. So fantastic coach, and the future looks good because, the owners are willing to put every penny in that they can as the rule book goes.
Lee, can you tell us about your day? because you're there as a professional, but obviously you can't not get...
Is that alcohol I smell?
But you can't not get involved in everything. How was your day, and how did it end up? Because I guess you have to go and interview players, and then you're meeting everybody afterwards. Was it just the best day for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was the best day of my writing career, obviously. To cover Newcastle winning a trophy is, a dream come true. Front page news in Newcastle, got 2 fantastic front pages on the Chronicle and the Journal today. I'm sure they'll fly off the shelves because everyone wants a piece of it. But for me, the countdown to the kick-off was unbelievable, meeting all the fans on Wembley Way, and then trying to keep that emotion inside as you're pushing the button on that match report that hasn't been sent since 1969. A match-winning report was, had to keep the emotions kind of bottled inside a bit, and then interviewing the players who were covered in alcohol, by the way, because they'd been sprayed with beer and champagne and all sorts. So yeah, brilliant day and one to look forward to forever.
No, fantastic. It makes people like me, being a Spurs fan, I watched it and I loved it and enjoyed it, but it kind of, we have that sense of jealousy when we look at Newcastle. We think that's another team that's not won anything for a long time. So, but good for you. I mean, I think it was terrific.
Yeah, I mean, we've watched on for many years, watching other teams go and win trophies, Middlesbrough and Sunderland as well. So it's been very difficult for Newcastle fans, but this was their day in the sun yesterday, and fantastic for those 33,000 fans who were there to witness it. They had to fight for the tickets, but it was probably worth every penny for them, those who went above and beyond to get to Wembley yesterday.
Great stuff.
And would those celebrations continue today on this St. Patrick's Day as well? I mean, would anybody need much of an excuse to go out to the big market tonight or whatever?
Well, as you know, in Newcastle, we've got the Tyneside Irish Centre. So, and even on the Strawberry, the most famous fan pub of them all, they've got a big Guinness emblem that's been painted on there for the day. So I think the party does start here, and I think there'll be a few pints sold in Newcastle, even more so than most Mondays.
Well, congratulations, Lee. I think every neutral was behind you as well. Well done. And as you say, history was made.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Trip back up to Newcastle. He's down in Wembley at the moment, so he probably can't wait to get back up there.
And celebrate with everyone. It's going to continue today for sure.
Absolutely.
I saw on Instagram last night there's a couple celebrating their ruby wedding anniversary. So that is, 40 years?
Don't know.
Yes,
40. They've been lifelong Newcastle United fans, and they went to celebrate their anniversary yesterday, and then they won.
Isn't that
They said
great?
it was the best thing they ever could have asked for.
What a way to do it.
How lovely is that?
What a way to do it.
There you go. Let us know if you're celebrating today. gbnews.com/you'll-say.
And just a word of commiseration for every Liverpudlian. Well, every red Liverpudlian, but there you are.
They've got, could say, bigger fish to fry at the end of the season.
Yeah, they're doing all right.
They've had a bad week, but they'll be all right.
Well, now our spring giveaway. It's your chance to win
Come on, say it.
A designer handbag.
A fabulous designer handbag, yes.
Yeah, 2 highly sought-after designer watches and an incredible, let's get to the main bit,
£17,777 exactly in tax-free cash. Yes, you can spend it on whatever you like. It's an amazing prize package and it could all be yours. Here are all of the details that you need.
Spring has sprung with a great British giveaway, and we're giving you the chance to splash out this season with an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash. Jet off on your dream holiday, treat yourself to something special, or just save it for a rainy day. You'll also receive 2 brand new designer watches and a Mulberry handbag, so you can really look the part this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. In Warwickshire, the A452 is closed northbound from the Warwick turn-off at Bishop's Tatchbrook to Leamington Spa for repairs after a lorry caught fire on Friday morning. In Carmarthenshire, the A40 is closed in both directions for emergency repairs between Llandovery and Halfway. The M4 in Neathport Talbot is closed eastbound from junction 43 at Llandarcy to 42 east of Swansea after an accident late last night. On the M25 in Essex, 2 lanes are closed anti-clockwise. There's an accident a mile and a half before junction 29 for the A127, causing queues. On the M26 in Kent, it's taking around 20 minutes in queues approaching the M25 because of roadworks. Trains aren't running between Hastings and Tunbridge Wells because of overrunning engineering works. And Scalonian ferry sailings between Penzance and the Isles of Scilly cancelled because of a technical problem. That's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent?
I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Well, we're sitting here having a chat, and they never stop talking. They have opinions on everything. Dawn Neeson and Susan Holder. Very good to see both of you. Lovely to see you.
Morning to you as well.
Morning.
Happy St Patrick's Day.
Oh, Céad Mille Fáilte, thank you very much indeed. Is there any Irish in you, Dawn?
I beg your pardon, love. It's a bit early for that sort of question. No, I am actually one of those rare people that when we had the genealogy thing done, pretty 80% London and the South East, so almost fully English.
I had a genealogy thing done, and my Irish connections are like 102%.
How's that possible?
How is that?
Yeah, it's like apparently the only person more Irish than me is Conan O'Brien, the American.
Right.
Yeah, they did this test, and it's like I thought there'd be some Spanish Armada in me or something like that. No, it's all.
I mean, if we cut you, you bleed Guinness. Is that what happened?
Pretty much it.
Pretty much.
I don't drink.
Oh no.
I don't drink, but
It's very sensible.
No, well, I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
I like the look of a Guinness. The Guinness very comfortable.
I like the look of a Guinness.
It looks very good, but I'm just not sure it's for me. But
no, I'm half Welsh.
I do like a whiskey.
I am.
I like an Irish whiskey with a ginger ale or something.
You like a hot toddy?
Not really, no. No. But anyway, we're talking, Dawn, first of all, about a whole generation of young people who don't like work, really.
Oh, yeah, I knew you'd like this story, Eamonn, being of the same generation. Yeah, this is 1 in 4 young are considering quitting work over mental health, basically. It's tied in with the benefit cut story that's been around for a few days now, and Labour mainly going back on it. But this is particularly shocking for me because 18 to 24-year-olds cite low self-esteem and lacking in confidence as being reasons they can't go to work. And it's like, hold on, they're not mental health issues. That's called being young. When you're 18 to 24, you are like that in any case. But this is being over-medicalised to become a mental health issue, when basically it's just the normal stresses and strains of everyday life.
Which doesn't really get any better, incidentally, whether you're 24 or whether you're 64.
That's exactly what we just said.
Is that right?
I was just like, you learn to fake it till you make it, don't you? I was like, Dawn said, being, not confident and worried about things and worried about other people's opinions. That's like as a teenager. I was like, that's what it's like. That's like for all of us. We just learn to put on a front. And she said, what, you mean you're not as confident as you be? Of course I'm not. Nobody is.
You're not that gobby bird we all think you are. It's all an act.
It's all an act. Of course it is, because I would rather be thought of as a gobby bird than some wallflower who can't speak up for herself. It's just an act.
What would be really irk me is giving up. Is the idea that, I'm not going to make an attempt at work or anything else or airing an opinion. And it is actually quite frightening, because I realise at the age I am that you can't assume knowledge that's been handed down to youngsters and things, because they think differently than you think, and that makes you wrong in their eyes.
But has that always been the case? Have we always thought differently from people older than us?
I know, and I always have this thing of respect for elders. I've always had that.
I think that's gone.
I think it's gone.
I think the difference between the generations now is stark.
Yeah, I mean, there's always been a generational divide, a generation gap, but we had respect for our elders. And I do think now that I'm one of the elders, that has disappeared.
You see, also, I think that, say, in your business, that you have accrued knowledge that demands respect. In my view, that people should seek... I mean, if you were a lawyer, for instance, or an architect, people would come and say to you, Mr. Neeson, what do you think? Well, now they don't care what you think.
No.
They're not interested at all.
In fact, they tell you what they think, and then you have to agree with them, or else they're off to human resources.
Right. What's the next story we're going to look at, Ellie?
Susan, let's have a look at this one, shall we? This is the former head of Ofsted.
Yes.
Is not very happy with Bridget Phillipson over bowing to the unions.
No, it's Amanda Spielman who's talking about the fact that there's going to be quite a lot of changes made, and a couple of things that have come up. She says that basically it's bowing to the unions, and the unions are always more keen on protecting the adults in any scenario than the children, which is quite worrying when you talk about education, of course. So she believes that the Ofsted, new way of doing Ofsted, where they're not going to have the one-word kind of thing that everybody understood, whether it was outstanding, good, or, whatever. It's going to be like a colour-coded system, which she's worried about is going to be watered down. I mean, the whole thing about Ofsted, though, worries me. I've worked in schools as I taught drama for years, and then I worked for the NSPCC and had to go around lots of different schools talking to children about the NSPCC and Childline. And I have been in schools a couple of times when they've had the phone call to say Ofsted is coming. And I've seen grown teachers run screaming from the room in front of children who thought there was a fire or something. Ofsted are coming, Ofsted are coming. And it just worries me about how much Ofsted actually see anything real, because that is the panic the day before they get the call. And I'm just like, why are you panicking like that? Why are you acting like that? I actually got stopped in the middle of an NSPCC talk I was doing. You've got to stop, we've got to prepare for Ofsted. I'm like, but if Ofsted come and see us talking, wouldn't they think it was a good thing you had NSPCC in talking? I don't understand this mania around it all. But yeah, so they're looking to kind of make some changes. And the thing about education is, it seems to me, it's always been the case, a new broom always sweeps away what went before. And the problem with that is, are you changing things just for changing's sake, just because you're the new broom coming in, and does the baby get thrown out with the bathwater?
Well, I got to throw you out with the bathwater right now as we hit the break to show you where the sun is around Europe, but a lot of it's going to be in the UK.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, here's your latest winter sun forecast brought to you by the Met Office. There'll be some unsettled weather across Iberia over the next few days. Elsewhere, some sunshine and a few showers too. As for Tuesday, we can expect a few showers across the Canaries, Madeira, some more persistent rain across parts of Spain and Portugal. The central Med looks brighter, 1 or 2 showers around, and then we run into some more persistent rain again across parts of Greece with some hill snow in places here too. As for the rest of the week, well, there'll be some warm sunshine to contend with, 1 or 2 showers too, and some more persistent rain out across western spots.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
SpaceX latest Starship exploded over the Caribbean Sea.
I was wondering where it'd gone.
Yeah, debris could be seen falling back to Earth moments after the Starship launched down from Boca Chica, Texas. The rocket, of course, was unmanned. This was the 8th test flight, and it was only meant to be in the air for an hour. But, importantly, the booster for this rocket was caught with those Mechazilla chopsticks in an impressive display, the 3rd time that's happened.
Those Mechazilla chopsticks. This is Elon Musk's spaceship, isn't it?
Tell.
Starship, sorry.
Yeah.
Planetary scientist Andy Lound could tell us more about this. Andy, so was this a disaster or is this just a little obstacle to success?
Yeah, good morning. Par for the course, really. This is what kind of, good afternoon, par for the course as these things go on. The whole point of the tests, he's going to do 25 tests this year alone. And the interesting thing about this is you actually see the staging of it, where you've got the first stage, the booster, and then the second section, which is the ginormous rocket, which actually lifts off. The first stage, they seem to have got that cinched now, how it works quite well, coming back and landing in the chopsticks, absolutely breathtaking. The second stage, the Starship, was actually the new version of it, which they're testing out completely. And unfortunately, the first testing, the last test failed, and that was due to, it looks like, some frequency issues, which caused a frequency to go too high, which caused damage to the piping, which led to a fuel leak and a fire, which led to destruction. They made a lot of modifications, which led to test 8. And unfortunately, though, it has failed again. So they need to have a look at exactly what the issues are which are causing these failures.
GB News, the People's Channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
We say welcome back to Dawn Neeson and Susan Holder. Ladies, we've been talking about this story, haven't we, in the Telegraph? Astronauts, these 2 astronauts have been stuck in space for 9 months. They've finally been reunited.
Well, I think this story is much more serious than it's ever been painted. I think they stood a risk of dying. They weren't trained to be in a weightless situation. They were supposed to be up there for 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
And to be there for 9 months. And I think it was all well played down. And
well,
it shows...
I think you might have a point. I mean, we were doing the joking angle, but Sunuta Williams and Butch Wilmer, I mean, they were only meant to be up there for a couple of weeks, and it was 9 months later. And Elon Musk and Donald Trump have implied there's a political reason that the Biden administration didn't get them down, even though it was meant to be a technical issue. But Elon Musk has been involved in actually sending a SpaceX crew up there and rescuing them and bringing them down. They're hopefully due to splash down on Wednesday. But, I mean, 9 months is a long time. time.
It's a pregnancy, Dawn.
We don't want to go down now. Just giving birth in space is just full of horrors. But it is a long time, and it's like, no matter how trained you are, you expect to be going to do something for a couple of weeks and to be there 9 months later. I mean, the mental strength involved in coping.
I was going to say, yeah, they were talking about mental trauma before. The mental trauma of looking out that window and seeing Earth and not knowing if you're ever going to get back there. That must cross your mind. That must, I mean, that's just hugely traumatic. And for the families and friends of them stuck up there, which nobody's kind of really kind of covered that. But you can't imagine anything worse than...
Well, the female astronaut was apparently, she was talking to someone over the weekend and she's missing her dogs. 9 months without her dogs. I mean,
and she did a quick Zoom call with the school, which is amazing. And she said, I've forgotten how to walk.
So it's all of that they've got to deal with when they get home.
OK, guys, thank you very much indeed. We'll see you again in 45 minutes' time. Appreciate that. Marco Patanga has got your weather situation, and it's going to be good.
It's going to be good. Apparently hotter than Ibiza this week. Marco's got all the details.
Despite the morning rain, it'll be a nice, warm, cosy day ahead. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll see plenty of sunshine across the UK today, a lot of fine weather in store, but temperatures are still pretty disappointing for the time of year. High pressure is generally in charge at the moment, and that's giving plenty of sunshine across the northwest of the UK this morning. Quite a frosty start here though. Elsewhere more in the way of cloud around, and that's making the frost more patchy, and also the cloud thick enough down towards the southwest to give 1 or 2 showers during the first part of the day. As we head through into the afternoon, cloud will tend to increase across the northwest, and on the whole, many southern and western parts of the UK will see a fair bit of cloud around, with the best of the sunshine by this point across the east and southeast of England, and temperatures in the range 7 to 10 Celsius. 10 down towards the southeast is 50 in Fahrenheit. So we end the afternoon with quite a bit of sunshine across the mainland of Scotland, a bit of patchy cloud up towards the Northern Isles, and across some southern and central parts of mainland Scotland there. For Northern Ireland, also some patchy cloud around, with the best of the sunshine across the east of Northern Ireland. Whereas for England and Wales, a bit of an east-west split to end the day. Certainly a fair bit of cloud across Wales and the southwest of England, with the best of the late sunshine reserved for some central and eastern southeastern parts of England. Going into the evening then, through the overnight period, the cloud will tend to push away towards the northwest of the UK. That allows skies to clear from the southeast across most areas. We'll pay the price for that though as we go into the early hours of Tuesday. Notice the blue colours appearing on the chart quite widely, indicating a pretty widespread frost as we go into the early hours of Tuesday. Temperatures across parts of Scotland could dip down to -7, even -8 Celsius by Tuesday morning itself. Even further south, temperatures a few degrees below freezing. So we start Tuesday then with that frost around, and that will only slowly lift across some southern and central parts of Scotland there, and elsewhere with plenty of sunshine around though, and fairly gentle winds. It shouldn't feel too bad out and about. That sunshine pretty much wall to wall for many parts of the UK. Just a bit of patchy cloud there towards the far northeast and an isolated shower there. But notice the temperature still pretty disappointing, in the range 6 to 11 Celsius.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. In Warwickshire, the A452 Europa Way is closed northbound from the A425 near Bishop's Tatchbrook towards Leamington Spa for repairs after a lorry caught fire on Friday morning. The M4 in Neathport Talbot is closed eastbound from junction 43 at Llandarcy to 42 east of Swansea after an accident late last night. In Hertfordshire, the A41 is closed each way between Tring and Berkhamsted after an accident. On the M25 in Essex, 2 out of 4 lanes are closed anti-clockwise where a car's overturned, and a mile and a half before junction 29 for the A127, with queues from junction 30 for the A13. On the M26 in Kent, it's taking half an hour, and queues approaching the M25 because of roadworks. Trains aren't running between Tunbridge Wells and Hastings because of overrunning engineering works, and Sclonian ferry sailings between Penzance and the Isles of Scilly are cancelled because of a technical problem.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website gbnews.com.
We're giving you the chance to splash out this season with an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash. Jet off on your dream holiday, treat yourself to something special, or just save it for a rainy day. You'll also receive 2 brand new designer watches and a Mulberry handbag, so you can really look the part this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. Text 32332. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. Maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking, this is a nightmare for the Conservatives again. Down to earth. It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it? And most importantly, honest. Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them. Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Labour's welfare rift deepens.
Never mind that. You don't see the happy St Patrick's Day.
That was lovely, yeah.
Yeah, that was lovely. More lovely than these headlines, isn't it? Anyway, the Health Secretary claims that too many people are written off work. Are you one of them? As the government prepares to cut disability benefits.
Some backbenchers argue that these draconian cuts to welfare will leave millions on the breadline.
So, it's all infighting within the Labour Party. Will it force the government to U-turn?
The former head of Ofsted hits out at the Education Secretary, accusing Bridget Phillipson of putting the interests of unions ahead of the children.
Where's that? Do you know? Away the lads. Well and truly, Geordie's waking up, if they are waking up, maybe not.
Haven't gone to bed yet.
Yeah. Newcastle beat Liverpool, the Carabao Cup yesterday. That is their first trophy won in England in 70 years.
Prince Harry's immigration files are to be made public. A US judge rules his visa application must be released by tomorrow.
And just getting back to the main theme of today, there is Belfast, and it's a happy St Patrick's Day from Ellie and I to you. Today we are bringing you, hopefully, the luck of the Irish as GB News heads to Downpatrick. Now, Downpatrick is famous for what, Ellie?
I don't know.
Well, we've learned about the snakes, right? We've learned about the snakes, and we learned that Downpatrick is where St Patrick is buried.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, now, see, now you do.
Is he on the hillside?
He is on the hillside.
I knew that much. I remembered that much. Anyway.
And also, the Colonel of the Irish Guards is the Princess of Wales. And why are we talking about her?
Because she's going on a solo visit to meet the Irish Guards to celebrate St Patrick's Day today. And they've got a lovely Irish wolfhound dog called Seamus, right? And she always carries loads of shamrock as well, so that'll be lovely to see her today.
Great name for a dog, isn't it? Seamus. Come here, Seamus.
I want a Seamus dog.
Yeah, that's Shakespeare. And his birthplace is said to be what is called decolonized over concerns that he promoted white supremacy. We're going to be speaking to the actor Peter Egan about all of this later this morning for his views and your views as well as to what should be done about Shakespeare.
So do I have any St Patrick's sport? Maybe I do. Maybe I do. In tennis, firstly, Brit Jack Draper has won his biggest title yet, winning at Indian Wells, known as the unofficial 5th Grand Slam. The unofficial 5th major in golf is the Players' Championship in Florida, and Rory McIlroy, Eamonn, could have a fantastic St Patrick's Day. He's in a 3-hole playoff later today to win that. And still celebrating Newcastle's first trophy win in a lifetime, Toon legend and broadcaster Warren Barton is going to be with us to discuss.
Hello, good morning. We've got plenty of fine and settled weather in store across the UK today with high pressure dominating. There'll be some sunshine, but temperatures are still pretty disappointing for the time of year. I'll have all the details later.
And the details are that it's 3 minutes past 7 o'clock on this St. Patrick's Day. Kate Miller-Fulcher, I'm Eamonn Holmes.
Yes, I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Kate Miller-Fulcher, which means 100,000 welcomes.
It's a very nice start to the show. Bit of Gaelic. Trevor sent us a nice video. We're going to try and share it with you. It's Shaun the Sheep river dancing this morning with all of his friends. So that's given us a nice smile this morning. Yeah. Edward says, I am Irish, but I'm going to be celebrating today with American menu of corned beef, potatoes and cabbage.
Well, I don't see what's American about that.
Also be having a Guinness. I don't know, Edward, do you want to expand on why we're going with that menu?
Why, that could be Irish. I mean,
that could be Irish.
Meat and 2 veg and all the rest. Oh, do you know what I would love today, Paul?
What would you love today?
My mother used to make stew.
Oh,
Irish
nice.
stew.
Yeah, no.
And I could, but she did it a certain way. She didn't use lamb or whatever. She used minced steak. And her secret ingredient...
Guinness?
Curry powder.
Curry powder?
Curry powder. Try it.
Sorry, I meant curry powder. Curry powder? I mean, curry powder.
I'd give anything for it now.
I had stew on Saturday night at St. Patrick's Day event. Yeah, but it was beef. And then we had soda bread as well. And then I had chocolate cake and cream.
Oh, that's lovely. That's really nice. That's nice. Was that in a restaurant or was that somebody's home?
It was in a church hall.
How's the no sugar thing going, by the way?
Well, I had a dispensation.
OK, that's fine. For St. Patrick's Day.
I think you're allowed some dispensations in Lent. Every Sunday.
No, you are allowed dispensations on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, there you go. Look.
For drinking alcohol, for instance.
Oh, yes, I didn't drink alcohol. It was very good.
Well, you can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
So there we go. Paul will be talking about the celebrations because they'll be drinking a lot of alcohol, I would say, in Newcastle. I remember the first time I heard the term, "Away the lads." And it was 1972 and I was at Old Trafford and I was in the Newcastle end and I'm thinking, what language are these people speaking? What does this mean?
And they're going, takes one to know one.
Absolutely.
I remember the 76, I always remember as a kid, I remember the 76 League Cup final against Man City that they lost. That was the famous, we've spoken about before, the famous Dennis Chewett overhead kick, and they've come so close so many times.
So many times.
So well done to Newcastle.
They deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Very good.
And John says, I think we all need to say a massive congratulations to Newcastle. It's nice to see the silverware spread around.
Absolutely.
And it is.
I agree. Yeah, it is.
Anyway, should we look at our top story today? Thanks,
I'm not sure I agree about that one.
Well,
What you
will
don't
do
think is
soon.
nice?
It's been a while since you've
But
won
you
anything.
never win any silverware, right?
OK.
Spurs, right?
Are you jealous?
That's correct.
But I think it should be spread around where it used to be.
Or what? Just Manchester United?
The natural order should prevail again.
Right, OK.
Yeah.
I think, well...
Be reinstated.
You know what I think about that.
What do you think? OK.
I know what you
The
think.
government will unveil a major overhaul of disability benefits tomorrow. It means that only the most severely disabled will be able to qualify, we believe.
Well, it follows criticism. The UK is overdiagnosing mental health conditions, with the number of people claiming disability benefits for anxiety and depression doubling in the past decade.
Well, here's what the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, told us.
Should you be getting a PIP payment for ADHD, yes or no?
I think it very much depends on the nature of the condition and the
For
severity.
ADHD, a
These things are a
PIP payment.
spectrum, so I think it very much depends. We are looking at this whole issue of eligibility, and we are looking at this whole issue of overdiagnosis, because I am concerned that we have overdiagnosis of these conditions.
You think about that, let us know. MPs, a lot of them rebelling over all of this, and the government seems to be backpedaling on proposals to freeze PIP payments. Will they be able to put these reforms through? That is the question.
Well, let's get the thoughts now. The former Conservative Special Advisor, Oscar Redrop, who joins us in the studio. Morning, Oscar.
Good morning.
There's a lot of confusion in the ranks over this, isn't there?
Yeah.
Wes Streeting with his strong rhetoric over the weekend, and then we're apparently rowing back on PIP payments.
Yeah, when a politician... I mean, this was only yesterday, and this is all going to be announced tomorrow. And when you see a politician like Wes, who's normally a very good performer, like broadcast, and just a pretty good Secretary of State, or effective at least, and he said, we're going to have a look at this. Like, well, it's a bit bloody late to be looking at it. You're meant to be announcing it tomorrow. They clearly, it's in a real mess. This announcement. I don't think they quite know if they're coming and going on it. I think they have a lot of pressure amongst the left of the party and probably the centre of the party, backbench MPs. I think around the cabinet table, I can see someone like Ed Miliband, for example, being really unhappy about some of the proposals. So the PIP U-turn, I think, is as much about internal party political pressure as it is public. And then you add to that the public pressure. And look, I mean, should people who can work? Absolutely. Do we all need to be mucking in now in terms of, growth and the economy and jobs and all the rest of it? For sure. But this is where politics and real life intersect in a really quite cruel way. Because all the chaos, Wes doesn't really have a bloody idea what's going on already, on Sunday, and all the briefing in the press over the last week and the infighting in the Labour Party, there are people who are sat at home with these conditions who will be directly affected by it, who have no idea whether they're coming or going. And that is cruel. And I'm not being, softy kind of... That is just on a human level cruel. And if I'm honest, and if I'm being really direct here, it's surprised me. I don't think Keir Starmer cares about being cruel. I don't think he cares one jot about that kind of stuff.
He cares about power. It's obvious he would do anything to be popular and to stay in power. And if I see again him or anyone else hugging President Zelensky, they don't hug anybody else. The idea is my mate, there's my buddy, another 1,000 people killed today. How are you? Let's give us a hug. What sort of hug and laugh about?
Yeah, well, I bet there are a lot of, people
Churchill
who've lost
didn't walk up and hug people, did he?
Yeah, I know. There are a lot of people closer to home, pensioners who've been freezing all winter, not giving them a hug. Farmers who we all rely on that food supply chain and, in terms of their legacies and what they can offer the country, they're not getting a hug. And there'll be a lot of people who are nervously waiting who do have really serious conditions.
Well, now we hear about this rebellion within the Labour ranks that are saying, oi, before you go ahead with this, think twice because we're not going to pass this for you. Now, how serious is that threat?
I think the uncomfortable reality is I think Starmer feels quite emboldened at the moment, and I think he's a huge majority. He's got broad shoulders at the moment, whether people like it or not, and I think he will use this as an opportunity to really flex those political muscles. Kind of a horrible image there, quite early in the morning. But he'll be flexing his muscles on this. And the clever thing it's doing, politically, is it's kind of sucking and draining the life out of the right. This is something that, Tories feel like they should have got a handle on in terms of the welfare bill for decades.
Well, it's another Conservative policy, isn't it? I mean, as you said, going after pensioners, and now it's going after
So he's showing
benefits.
He can talk tough, and, we'll see tomorrow, but, he can, act tough. And Kemi and the Tories are probably sitting around a table now, and, I know you're going to interview someone from the opposition today at some point, and they're in a weird place because they're not quite sure where to come at this, because really it's something that naturally they're aligned with. And I would just say, as much as I think it's cruel how it's been handled, the chaos of it, there are a lot of hard-working people who get up every single day and they graft and graft and graft, and they have all their normal life stresses, and they watch people who sit at home who could be doing the same and are probably getting just as much money as them, and that is wrong. And I think so. In a way, tackling this is probably quite a popular policy, and Starmer's, I think, prepared to do the tough stuff to ride it. Yeah.
OK. The question we're asking you heard the Health Secretary speak there. Do you back his idea that there should be a crackdown on sickness pay in order to get people back to work? I'm not sure that one necessarily equates with the other, but if you've less money, will that force you back to work, or will you just lie in more poverty? Let us know results throughout the day. Martin Dobney's show at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We'll have the final result on that one. So where does this leave Starmer? He is unbelievable, just how he moves about. And who's he taking with him or not taking with him with his upper echelon around him? I mean, do you think Angela Rayner sits here and says, yes, Keir, this is very good stuff, or is power everything to them?
I honestly, power is everything to a Labour Party that have spent so long in opposition. And where the Tories kind of almost got a bit tired of power, I think, and then that allowed all the room for all the infighting, I think these guys are serious about it. But what does that mean? That means, and again, this isn't maybe specific to the Labour Party, but we're really seeing it with Keir Starmer. He is a shapeshifter. He in 2016, will go on ranting and raving about cruel disability benefits, and then today is pushing through, in inverted commas, some of the cruelest that we would have seen in, over 15 years. And so he is a shapeshifter, and he's incredibly effective about it. He's very hard to pin down.
If you were in government, if you were sitting in the cabinet or you had a decision to make, where would you make your cuts? Let us know today. Get in touch with us. Have your say. Do that, and we'll reflect those throughout the programme today. Oscar, we'll speak again.
Thanks, Oscar.
Top of the hour. Thank you very much indeed.
Now, happy St Patrick's Day. Millions of people across the globe are gathering to mark the occasion.
Several parades are set to start around the country at midday. If I could highlight Belfast, an amazing parade there, which has grown and grown and grown over the years. And it's St Patrick's Day used to be very divisive in Northern Ireland, but now that all seems to be a thing of the past, where it's everybody owns St Patrick's Day, whether you're Protestant Irish or Catholic Irish. It's your St Patrick's Day, and indeed the lovely thing about St Patrick's Day is you don't even have to be Irish.
I was about to say, even if you're not Irish, you can celebrate.
If you're Irish, come into the parlour, there's a welcome there for you.
Yeah,
and if your name is Timothy or Pat, there's a welcome on the mat. Anyway, we'll be getting going by lunchtime today. Let's go to Irish commentator Malachy Steenson on all of this. Malachy, good morning to you. Happy St Patrick's Day.
Good morning, Eamon and Eddie. Happy St Patrick's Day to you.
And what does it mean to you?
Well, unfortunately, in Dublin particularly, St Patrick's Day is now just another woke festival. It's very little to do with Irish culture. It's more about diversity, multiculturalism, and in fact, anything except being Irish, or what traditionally was Irish. And I mean, that's one of the sad things about it. And the biggest parade today in Ireland will be in Dublin. And I know many people now who won't go into that today, mainly because they disagree with the woke liberalism that's in it, but also because of the threats which are being taken seriously by the security forces against that parade by Islamic Jihad, which internationally they have threatened a number of events, including the Dublin parade. And, unusually now, for a parade of that type and a festival type event, all of the litter bins, for instance, are now sealed in the city centre, which is, hardly representative of a modern democracy happy with itself.
Malachy, I'm fascinated to listen to you. Incidentally, I went to a St Malachy's College, so therefore your name's very prominent in my mind. And, again, we celebrated things Irish and whatever. I wasn't aware of this wokeism. What form does it take? How are they diluting St Patrick's Day and what it stands for the Irish?
Well, if you look at, say, this period, say even Lent, a Christian tradition, no mention from any government ministers in relation to that. Yet all of the Islamic or Indian festivals are all promoted, like Ramadan and Hafi, are promoted by the political class. Even if you look at the footage you had from the Belfast parade there, now, understandably, there may not be tricolours a part of it in the north, but you have plenty of rainbow flags. And what we've done in the 26 counties is we seem to have, or the political class and the NGO class have replaced the tricolour with either LGBT flags, Ukrainian flags and Palestinian flags. You will be very unlikely to see tricolours around, in the parade itself, while people watching it will have it. But, just listening to your previous commentator there about Keir Starmer and him being a shapeshifter, we have many shapeshifters over in this country. I think every member of the political class is a shapeshifter, because all of the things that we've been saying for the past 2.5 years on your programme and on Martin's programme and internationally, because we're we're barred from discussing any of these topics on national radio or TV in Ireland. We have Micheál Martin admitting that the vast bulk of people coming into our country are not asylum seekers, but economic migrants. We have the admission the other day from the government that they were told that they wouldn't reach their housing targets of 40,000 for last year, that the figure would be 30,000, yet they continued to lie to the people in the November election in relation to that. We have the government now admitting that the vast bulk of people applying for asylum in this country are not coming from war-torn anywhere, but are simply hopping on a boat to Larne from Stranraer, or hopping on a plane to Belfast and sauntering down on a train over the border. But what we have done, and all of the things, and you'll recall we were called fascists and racists and all these demeaning names, we have shifted the Overton window so that everything we have said, which we knew to be true at the time, the political class are now, for some reason, agreeing with. We have the huge increase in knife crime in all of our cities. And, you know, we've always had a crime problem in Ireland. You know, we've always had particularly drug-related crime, but it wasn't the randomness. People who are generally shot during drug feuds, etc., have some involvement in the trade. But what we have now are random stabbings mainly. And indeed in Belfast last week, there's a stabbing, a random stabbing that's been investigated as an Islamic attack. So, you know, our cities are not safe.
But Malachy, we're going to say goodbye to you now. We're out of time, unfortunately. But I just want to say it's not the conversation I thought we were going to have. But I would say this to you, and I'm not disagreeing with anything you've said. You've suddenly opened my eyes, and I realised this. And the whole idea of, you know, politicians love to celebrate Eid and Festival of Lights and all these sort of things. But no one ever stands up and says, oh, it's Lent for the next 6 weeks. You know, and that's big in the Christian calendar and all that sort of thing. You know, if you do want...
Although surprisingly, Eamon, on Ash Wednesday, there were a number of politicians, particularly those who appeared on media, seem to have gone into the makeup department and got extra rashes on their forehead just for the programme, you know. People who go to neither church nor chapel most of the time.
OK. Well, look, listen, kid, Mille Falcha, have a lovely day. Stick with your family, drown your shamrock, do whatever you're going to do. But good talking to you, Malachy.
We used the dispensation today, Eamon.
You're right, dispensation. Thanks, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
indeed.
Eamon. Thanks, Ellie.
Thanks, Malachy. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
The same to you.
Oh, that was nice. I could listen to the accent all day. Now, should we have a look at the weather with Marco? Because apparently it's hotter than Ibiza this week. He's got all the details.
Woo! A chilly start will give way to a lovely, warm afternoon. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll see plenty of sunshine across the UK today, a lot of fine weather in store, but temperatures are still pretty disappointing for the time of year. High pressure is generally in charge at the moment, and that's giving plenty of sunshine across the northwest of the UK this morning. Quite a frosty start here though. Elsewhere more in the way of cloud around, and that's making the frost more patchy, and also the cloud thick enough down towards the southwest to give 1 or 2 showers during the first part of the day. As we head through into the afternoon, cloud will tend to increase across the northwest, and on the whole, many southern and western parts of the UK will see a fair bit of cloud around, with the best of the sunshine by this point across the east and southeast of England, and temperatures in the range 7 to 10 Celsius. 10 down towards the southeast is 50 in Fahrenheit. So we end the afternoon with quite a bit of sunshine across the mainland of Scotland, a bit of patchy cloud up towards the Northern Isles, and across some southern and central parts of mainland Scotland there. For Northern Ireland, also some patchy cloud around, with the best of the sunshine across the east of Northern Ireland. Whereas for England and Wales, a bit of an east-west split to end the day. Certainly a fair bit of cloud across Wales and the southwest of England, with the best of the late sunshine reserved for some central and eastern southeastern parts of England. Going into the evening then, through the overnight period, the cloud will tend to push away towards the northwest of the UK. That allows skies to clear from the southeast across most areas. We'll pay the price for that though as we go into the early hours of Tuesday. Notice the blue colours appearing on the chart quite widely, indicating a pretty widespread frost as we go into the early hours of Tuesday. Temperatures across parts of Scotland could dip down to -7, even -8 Celsius by Tuesday morning itself. Even further south, temperatures a few degrees below freezing. So we start Tuesday then with that frost around, and that will only slowly lift across some southern and central parts of Scotland there, and elsewhere with plenty of sunshine around though, and fairly gentle winds. It shouldn't feel too bad out and about. That sunshine pretty much wall to wall for many parts of the UK. Just a bit of patchy cloud there towards the far north east and an isolated shower there. But notice the temperature still pretty disappointing in the range 6 to 11 Celsius.
A nice bright morning will generate a lovely warm day, right through to the evening. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The giveaway is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. There's 17,777 quid involved, and not only that, but a beautiful handbag.
A fabulous one. Yes.
Here we go.
Spring has sprung with a great British giveaway, and we're giving you the chance to splash out this season with an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash. Jet off on your dream holiday, treat yourself to something special, or just save it for a rainy day. You'll also receive 2 brand new designer watches and a Mulberry handbag, so you can really look the part this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent? I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to Breakfast. The time is 7:28. Let's cross live to Westminster now and speak to Shadow Education Minister Neil O'Brien. Good to see you this morning, Neil.
Neil, I have to say, before we start anything, that sounds quite an Irish name to me.
Yeah, well, actually, my entire family are from Scotland rather than Ireland. There you go.
That'll be Scotland via Ireland, I bet you. But anyway, happy St Patrick's Day.
Eamon's going to claim you today anyway. Yeah, happy St Patrick's Day. Look, I know you're here to talk about banning phones in schools. We'll talk about that in just a second, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on the front page of the Daily Telegraph this morning. I don't know whether you've seen it. It's Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary. She's under fire from a former head of Ofsted, very concerned about her school reforms, saying she's bowing to the unions over all of this. Are those comments that you agree with?
I completely agree. And Amanda Spielman is far from the only person who's spent her life in education and is incredibly worried about the schools bill, which really is a piece of vandalism. It's undoing the cross-party reforms of the last 30 or 40 years, which started with Mrs Thatcher and have continued ever since. And those reforms have worked. England schools have gone up the international league tables, where they've done things differently in Labour-run Wales and in Scotland. They've gone down the international league tables. And now Bridget is bringing the same ideas, the same failed ideas to England as well, taking away school freedoms, taking away accountability too, and taking away the mechanisms that have led us to quickly intervene when schools need to be turned around. It's so depressing that she is pushing all this stuff through, and she should be asking herself, why are so many teachers, why are so many leaders of schools desperately worried about this bill that we're passing? And there's no sign of any reflection on why so many teachers are against this.
I tell you what I'm asking myself, Neil, is why in this day and age it's even an issue that we're not taking away, you talk about taking away, we're not taking away phones from kids in school. Why is that outside influence allowed? I mean, I'm sure when you were at school, same as when I was at school or Ellie was at school, it just would be a no-go. It wouldn't have been tolerated.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't exist when I was at school. I mean, there is no good reason to be allowing phones in the classroom. They are hugely disruptive, and ironically, the Department for Education's own behaviour survey shows how disruptive they are. Teachers report that overall about a third of lessons, a bit more, are disrupted by phones in class. For older children, it's even worse, about half disrupted by kids looking at the phone under the desk, and then the teacher has to stop the lesson, the kids don't concentrate. It's just mad. So that's why we are going to be causing a vote in Parliament today on a proper ban on phones in schools from the start of the day to the end of the day. You know, if parents need to get hold of kids, they can ring the school. But the truth is that phones in schools are just hugely distracting. They damage education, and all over the developed world now we're seeing this crisis in kids' mental health, exactly coinciding with the rollout of smartphones and social media in young people's lives. And it's a disaster.
Yeah.
Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Conservatives, is convening a big meeting about that this morning.
But, you know, a lot of the problem will be from parents themselves who will say, oh, well, I need to get hold of Junior because, you know, in case I'm late to pick them up or something like that.
Yeah.
But it really is that, as Neil points out there, the problems they cause in every aspect of life. I just don't get it.
Neil, does it need to go further? I mean, not just banning it in schools, but do there need to be more protections in place for teenagers and young children, considering the dangers of social media?
Yeah, no, in fact, today is the day that the Online Safety Act comes into force, which we passed a couple of years back, and that does take some steps in the right direction to try and get some of these big tech firms to start being a bit more active about weeding out bad content from their platforms, be it stuff on self-harm for kids or terrorist content or pornography. So that's a good step, but I do think we will need to go further. But the very first thing we should do, the absolute no-brainer, is getting phones out of our schools, because it is just meaning that there is not a single moment where kids are not away from these things. And a lot of schools say, oh, we've got a ban, but what they mean is, well, the kids are supposed to keep them in their pockets, but it doesn't work. What you end up with is under the desk, they're trying to text their friends, they're on social media. And what we need is at least seven hours in the day where kids can enjoy the same kind of childhood that I did, free from all this. And the irony is, polls show that young people themselves would like to be free from all this. They are only on there because everyone else is. And if you create spaces where you could just be in the real world, they're perfectly happy with that. In fact, they're happier.
Well, he's the Shadow Education Minister. He is Neil O'Brien. He's having his say on mobile phones in schools. Neil, thank you very much indeed. Please have your say. Get in touch with us and we'll be happy to reflect that today. Paul Coit is with me. Who's your guest after the break?
Newcastle legend Warren Barton will be with us live in just a
I used to work with him.
Did you?
Yeah, not on the football pitch, but like, you know, off the football pitch.
What? With the grocery shop? Where was it?
We did a radio show together.
Oh, I love Warren Barton.
Yeah.
OK, well...
We're going to be reunited in just a minute.
OK, after this.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. On the M62 in West Yorkshire, there's a lane closed eastbound where someone's broken down at junction 22 at Rishworth Moor, causing queues. On the M60 in Greater Manchester, there's a lane closed anti-clockwise where someone's broken down between junctions 11 and 10 from Barton to the Trafford Centre, with queues from junction 18 at Simister Island. In Suffolk, the A14 is partly blocked westbound where a lorry's broken down at junction 40 at Higham, causing delays. In Warwickshire, the A452 is closed northbound along Europol Way into Leamington Spa after a lorry caught fire. On the M40 in Oxfordshire, there's a lane closed southbound where someone's broken down between junctions 11 and 10 from Banbury to Brackley, causing queues. In Hertfordshire, the A41 is closed each way between Tring and Berkhamsted after an accident causing queues. On the M26 in Kent, it's taking 40 minutes in queues approaching the M25 because of roadworks. And the Scilonian Ferry in Penzance and the Isles of Scilly is suspended because of a technical problem.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent? I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
OK, so it was Liverpool 1, Newcastle 2 in the Carabao Cup yesterday. Celebrations everywhere, Paul.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the first domestic trophy that they've won in 70 years. A man that played for Newcastle. What I love about this guy is the fact that he's from London, went up to Newcastle, but he's totally a Newcastle man. So there's something special about that club. Works in the States these days. Warren Barton. We've kept him on the line for a while. Warren, it's great to see you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Eamonn, lovely to see you as always. You're like a fine wine. You look like yesterday I see you.
Listen, stop kissing up to Eamonn. We're going to talk about Newcastle for crying out loud.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you very much.
The thing is, though...
Warren, how is America? Because the thing is, he left me to go to America.
Oh, yeah.
And how are you doing in America? Where do you live?
Eamonn, it was either you or California, and sorry.
Do you get wine and money in California, or is just wine here? Right, there you go.
No, but it's yesterday was fantastic. A lot of emotion, as you said. 70 years since we won a domestic trophy. I was lucky enough to be next to the last captain that won a trophy for Newcastle, Bobby Moncur, 80 years of age. He was crying.
Wow.
Even Alan Shearer was showing emotion, jumping up and down, which he doesn't normally do, and just that pride of the fans, the city, what the job that Eddie Howe has done, and they took over London, the Geordies. Took over Covent Garden, and they're going to be celebrating. It's quite fitting that it's St Patrick's Day because it will just carry on. It will just carry on today. But just so pleased for everybody, and I think 2-1 really flattered Liverpool. I think we was excellent. We was on the front foot. We was aggressive. Could have been 3-0. But the scenes afterwards, you know, people crying, hugging, kissing. People just sitting there shaking their head. You know, people didn't think they'd ever see that time. I was at Wembley 3 times, and unfortunately I failed. So they've gone that one step further. So it's brilliant, and I can only imagine the scenes.
Warren, when you got to that last 3 or 4 minutes, though, were you worried at all when Liverpool pulled one back?
Yeah, you do tend to start thinking. I don't know where the 8 minutes come from either. We was all looking around and thinking 8 minutes, that seemed like a lifetime. And they got the goal offside, onside, and then they gave the goal with VAR. And you just think it can't be. But I think we deserved it. I mean, the tactics from start to finish, we played really well, from the goalkeeper to the striker to the couple of people that come on off the bench. And all round, Eddie deserves it. You know, he's been a great manager, a great ambassador for the club. And to be there and witness it is something that I'm never going to get. I spent 8 great years there. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
You mentioned, Eddie, who were the managers you played under? Dalglish would have been one. Did you play under Kevin Keegan?
Yeah, Kevin Keegan. I was part of the entertainers with David Ginola, Les Ferdinand, Peter Beardsley, Alan Shearer, Tino Asprilla. So that was my generation. Then Kenny Dalglish, which was excellent. Ruud Gullit, which was sexy football, but not too sexy. And then we had the great Sir Bobby Robson, who I had 4 years with him. So a wonderful football club. And as Paul rightly said, you know, I moved up from London. And this myth about Geordies don't like London is a myth, because they love us, Rob Lee, myself, and we had a great time up there. We fouled. It was your mob, Eamonn, that beat us twice to win in the Premier League.
I know what was there.
You.
Great days.
Yeah, look at you smiling and grinning over there.
What
not so
year
good
was
now,
it?
Eamonn, is it? Not so good now. Not so good now, is it?
I will. That night when Cantona scored 1-0. And that cut your lead at the top. That will live with me forever. But anyway,
I'll probably live with Warren forever as well. But probably
I'm losing you. I'm losing you, Eamonn.
Listen, this is about Newcastle. We're going to ignore that for now, Warren. We'll talk about the club now. You say about that the 8 years that you spent, and there are certain football clubs, and there's a few players that I speak to that have been in different clubs, that there's one that always is in their heart. And, you know, coming from London, you mentioned that. But what is it about the club? Because there's something special there that has made you be a Newcastle man ever since you left.
It's the fans. They just endear you. They take you to their hearts. If you show them that you're proud to wear their shirt and you're committed. Listen, I wasn't the most technical player in the world, the likes of David Ginola, Peter Beardsley or Alan Shearer, but I gave everything I had, and they appreciate that, and they wanted us to go. On the weekend, they work so hard Monday to Friday. And Kevin Keegan, Sir Bobby used to say on the weekend, give them something to celebrate. And most of the time we did it. And we had a good time off the field as well with them to be part of it. But it's just being around. When you go into Newcastle, the first thing you see is St James's Park, whether you're on the motorway or whether you're going in the train. They love their football club. They want their football club to have some pride. And as Kevin Keegan rightly said, we've got a club back now with a new ownership, a new direction. And obviously the first trophy that we've had in 70 years. 70 years. What a week it's been for Big Dan Burns. Gets called into the England squad and scores a goal at Wembley, and it's one of their own. And that's what they want. They want the Geordies to go out there, be proud, and have some fun. And they're celebrating through the night. I heard it. I'm in London. I'm flying off to California now, but I heard them last night, and they was having a good time. I was in bed, Eamonn, because as you get older, you have them intentions to go out with them, but I was like, no, I'm going to go to bed.
You know what? I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased for you, Warren. I'm pleased for Newcastle fans, but I'm pleased for you. We've been speaking over the years, where be on the radio and, you know, through the tough times, and you came so close, and then there was going to be the buyout, and then it didn't happen, and now it has. And so finally, you've got your trophy, so you can celebrate on the way back to California. Is there many Newcastle fans over there?
Oh yeah, there's lots all over the country. It's like the Premier League is huge, so they have a fan base in San Diego where I live, or up in Boston, or across in Chicago, Portland. Yeah, the Premier League is huge over there. And Newcastle's getting bigger. The identity of the kit is different, black and white, the Magpies, and obviously success is coming along, so that obviously helps. But yeah, there's a lot of Geordies over there. Wherever you walk around, you bump into a Geordie. So it's always great to reminisce a little bit, but it's all about now, it's about today, and it's about enjoying the time that they're having.
Stuff.
And great to reminisce with you, my friend. If there's any stations in San Diego, you know, on a Saturday morning, they're looking for not very good but cheap presenters. You know,
yeah, we're good for that.
Give us a shout. That'd be good. Yeah. Both of us.
We could do a night show and send them to sleep. It'd be great, like we did before.
Speak for yourself, Warren.
Yeah, Paul,
thanks, Warren.
You've got too much energy, Paul. You've got too much energy. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time, mate. Appreciate it. Good seeing you. Thank you.
Thanks,
well done.
Warren.
Congrats. Very happy man.
Oh, he's a nice man.
He's great.
Very humble as well. It's nice.
Right.
Thanks, Corty. Do stay with us. Still to come, we're going to be going through the papers with Dawn Newsom and Suzanne Evans. But first, if you're in search of some winter sun, here's the forecast for some of the top European holiday destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, here's your latest winter sun forecast brought to you by the Met Office. There'll be some unsettled weather across Iberia over the next few days. Elsewhere, some sunshine and a few showers too. As for Tuesday, we can expect a few showers across the Canaries, Madeira, some more persistent rain across parts of Spain and Portugal. The central Med looks brighter, 1 or 2 showers around, and then we run into some more persistent rain again across parts of Greece with some hill snow in places here too. As for the rest of the week, well, there'll be some warm sunshine to contend with, 1 or 2 showers too, and some more persistent rain out across western spots.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Well, the end of February marks the beginning of the holy month of Ramadan, and the Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer was quick to wish all Muslims Ramadan Mubarak.
Yes, he was, and the royal family also took to their Twitter feed, and they have millions of followers to mark the occasion, sending their best wishes to Muslims in the UK, Commonwealth and all around the world.
Which is all very nice, and quite right, of course, because there are many, many Muslims who are in the Commonwealth, which the royal family heads. However, what's been said for the Christians?
Zippo.
Because there's been a deafening silence from, well, the royal family, politicians and many others as Christians mark the beginning of Lent, despite the fact the King is, of course, head of the Church of England.
Yes, it's all rather disappointing. Shall we get the reaction of the former chaplain to Queen Elizabeth II, Dr Gavin Ashenden? Thank you very much indeed, Gavin, for coming on. Are Christians being forgotten in this country? I am taken aback by the fact that the royal family would take to their Twitter feed, which is watched by millions of people, to celebrate the holiday of Ramadan, but no mention of Lent, no mention of Shrove Tuesday, no mention of Ash Wednesday, nothing.
Yes, it's all very odd and it's not easy to understand because, as you quite rightly said, it's the right and courteous thing to do to wish Muslims well on what is for them a very important feast day. Why would we not want to be courteous and generous and supportive to people quite rightly pursuing their own religious devotions? But it's as well as two-tier policing, we appear to be having two-tier religion in this country because, as you say, there's complete silence for the Christians who still make up nearly 50% of the country.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. We're going through the papers in the company of Dawn Newsome and Susan Holder. Morning, you two.
Morning.
Dawn,
Morning.
let's have a look at the front page of the Times, shall we? And this is Asylum appeals. Massive backlog has ballooned by 485%.
Yeah, absolutely. The Labour government promised to sort this issue out, and actually appeals to be heard after the figures, as you just said, Ellie, have ballooned. It's not happening. The backlog has risen by nearly a quarter since September and is up 485%. But enough figures, what is it costing you? It's costing £1.5 billion to the taxpayers. We have 38,079 asylum seekers in hotels. That's 8,000 more than when Labour came to power in July and said they were going to sort the problem out.
So what's going to be done about it? Nothing.
Is this because we don't have the people doing the work to fill the paperwork out, or is this because that work is being done and then thwarted in by lawyers, or is it a combination of both?
It's a combination of both. The main problem is there aren't enough lawyers, and there isn't enough legal aid funding at the moment to pay those lawyers to sort these asylum claims out. So that is the problem. But however...
Well, a lot of people say the problem is letting them into the country in the first place.
There is that. Yeah. As far as Labour are concerned, the problem is we don't have enough lawyers and illegal aid funding to sort it out, which is what we're looking at. But, I mean, Eamonn, they shouldn't be in hotels, let's be honest here.
No.
We shouldn't have, nearly 39,000 people in hotels at our expense.
Where do we house them then?
We must have some sort of processing centre that isn't going to cost the taxpayer this amount of money, especially when we have, and I keep saying this, when we have pensioners who are scared to turn the heating on in their own homes because of the winter fuel thing, and we're putting people who are here illegally on the boats, which is illegal, in heated hotels. It doesn't make sense.
And the consequence of that as well, the people who run those hotels, those businesses are being absolutely decimated by this. It's going to be hard for them to recover and go back to the trade that they used to have when hotels are being taken over for this and ruined in the contract.
The hotels make a fortune.
Well, it might be, but I don't know that it will ever go back.
Well, there are people booking hotels now and then sort of like finding out that asylum seekers are being held in the
exactly.
hotel.
I don't think that's good for business at all, actually.
I want to talk to you about hell.
Oh.
There's a piece today in the Daily Mail by Dominic Lawson, and the headline says what, Dom?
It may seem an archaic notion, but the loss of belief in hell has had a profoundly destructive effect on civil order.
Now, just have a think about that. I mean, I'm old enough to remember in the 60s when people believed in heaven and hell, and they would do or not do things based on their belief on that thing. Now, everybody will laugh at hell exists. But if you were some other religion in this country, but Christian, nobody would be laughing. No. Everybody would believe, what you think must be true and it must be super duper and whatever. So, do you believe in hell? You believe in the concept of it?
I believe in the concept of it. I think it's what you're talking about. It's putting a kind of a definition and a description on what is actually your conscience, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have a conscience.
So therefore,
I do feel
what Dominic Lawson is saying, people have less of a conscience because they don't believe in hell.
Yeah, well, yes, and I think he's onto something, and I think it is true. I think that belief system is just a way of... Belief systems are always a way of describing the feelings and the emotions that you have and making sense of them, aren't they? And that's what we did for many, many years. But now, why don't we have a conscience anyway? Whether you believe in an altar... But I would not be able to sleep at night if I did certain things because my conscience would bother me. Yeah, and I think that's the same effect.
Whether that's heaven and hell, it is about basically having personal morals and being a good person, no matter what religion you have, treating other people as you'd like to be treated yourself. And it's surely got to be the bottom line of any religious belief.
And I don't know whether I've ever thought about whether I believe in it or not specifically. No one's ever asked me before, do you believe in hell? But actually, when you think about it, you kind of do think at the end of time, when your time is over, are you able to sit there and think I did right or I did wrong?
Do you believe in it, Eamonn? Do you believe
I do.
in hell as a fiery pit?
I believe that evil exists.
Yes.
Yeah. And I believe that the biggest danger is people believing that evil doesn't exist. And therefore, when you believe it doesn't exist, it gets away with whatever it wants to do. So whether that's hell or whether it's the concept of evil or basically evil people, I've started watching a lot of crime documentaries on television. And my God, there are evil people in this world. There are evil. And that...
it definitely exists.
Who was that creep in Southport, whatever his name was? If I see his picture on screen again, I really think there should be a petition not to ever show his picture again. An evil little, you know... If there was a death sentence, I'd happily press the button on him.
Well, the whole conversation came about in the trial of the crossbow killer, whose name I'm not even going to say. But, you know, the impact statement given by the dad saying that, you know, I can hear the screams of hell and they're waiting for you.
I think it has brought it to people's minds much more. That statement was so powerful anyway. But that reference was actually, it really jarred with people and really kind of made them think about, helped them to think about it, I think.
Well, it's the day of reckoning, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, that's what I think we all think. Because a lot of us do believe there's something else, or that, you know, when we lose people, we like to think that people go on. So if you're going to believe in that direction, why wouldn't you believe?
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah. When we lose people we love, we say they're in a better place, so therefore believe in the bad place.
That's the thought for today on this St Patrick's Day, the 17th of March, and we've got a patron saint who we believe cast the snakes out of Ireland. So there are no snakes. We see you laugh, but there are no snakes.
Well, that would explain it then.
That explains it.
I have no other explanation. So, yeah.
There we go. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank
you guys will see you again in 40 minutes' time.
Was St Patrick Turkish?
Yeah.
From modern-day Turkey?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Held on to something at school,
So was St George, wasn't he?
Was he? Are they all coming from Turkey?
What's it with Turkey and saints?
We'll Google it in the break. Dawn, Susan, thank you very much. Let's get a check on the weather now with Marco.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll see plenty of sunshine across the UK today, a lot of fine weather in store, but temperatures are still pretty disappointing for the time of year. High pressure is generally in charge at the moment, and that's given plenty of sunshine across the northwest of the UK this morning. Quite a frosty start here though. Elsewhere more in the way of cloud around, and that's making the frost more patchy, and also the cloud thick enough down towards the southwest to give 1 or 2 showers during the first part of the day. As we head through into the afternoon, cloud will tend to increase across the northwest, and on the whole, many southern and western parts of the UK will see a fair bit of cloud around, with the best of the sunshine by this point across the east and southeast of England, and temperatures in the range 7 to 10 Celsius. 10 down towards the southeast is 50 in Fahrenheit. So we end the afternoon with quite a bit of sunshine across the mainland of Scotland, a bit of patchy cloud up towards the Northern Isles, and across some southern and central parts of mainland Scotland there. For Northern Ireland, also some patchy cloud around with the best of the sunshine across the east of Northern Ireland, whereas for England and Wales, a bit of an east-west split to end the day. Certainly a fair bit of cloud across Wales and the southwest of England, with the best of the late sunshine reserved for some central and eastern southeastern parts of England. Going into the evening then, through the overnight period, the cloud will tend to push away towards the northwest of the UK. That allows skies to clear from the southeast across most areas. We'll pay the price for that though as we go into the early hours of Tuesday. Notice the blue colours appearing on the chart quite widely, indicating a pretty widespread frost as we go into the early hours of Tuesday. Temperatures across parts of Scotland could dip down to -7, even -8 Celsius by Tuesday morning itself. Even further south, temperatures a few degrees below freezing. So we start Tuesday then with that frost around, and that will only slowly lift across some southern and central parts of Scotland there, and elsewhere with plenty of sunshine around though, and fairly gentle winds. It shouldn't feel too bad out and about. That sunshine pretty much wall to wall for many parts of the UK. Just a bit of patchy cloud there towards the far northeast and an isolated shower there. But notice the temperature still pretty disappointing in the range 6 to 11 Celsius.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. On the M60 in Greater Manchester, there's a lane closed anti-clockwise where someone's broken down between junctions 11 and 10 from Barton to the Trafford Centre, with queues from junction 18 at Simister Island. In Suffolk on the A14, there's a lane closed westbound where a lorry's broken down between junctions 40 and 39 from Hyam to Kenford, causing delays. In Warwickshire, the A452 is closed northbound along the Europol Way from the A425 towards Leamington for repairs after a lorry caught fire on Friday morning. On the M40 in Oxfordshire, there's a lane closed southbound where someone's broken down between junctions junctions 11 and 10 from Banbury to Brackley causing queues. In Hertfordshire, the A41 is closed each way between Tring and Berkhamsted after an accident. On the M26 in Kent, it's taking over half an hour, and queues approaching the M25 because of roadworks. And Scalonian ferry sailings between Penzance and the Isles of Scilly cancelled because of a technical problem. That's the latest.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
You could be the next big winner of the Great British Giveaway, as we have an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash to be won. Cash that you'll be able to spend on anything you like. And if that wasn't enough, we'll also give you the latest Mulberry handbag, and not one, but 2 sought-after designer watches, so you can style it out this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get the book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello there. Labour's welfare rift is deepening.
The Health Secretary claims too many people are written off work as the government prepares to cut disability benefits for millions.
Some backbenchers argue draconian cuts to welfare will leave millions of people on the breadline.
So, will this party infighting force the government to U-turn on its plans?
The former head of Ofsted hits out at the Education Secretary, accusing her of putting the interests of unions ahead of the interests of children.
Geordies are waking up bleary-eyed this morning as Newcastle United beat Liverpool to win the Carabao Cup yesterday, their first domestic trophy in 70 years.
Prince Harry's immigration files are going to be made public. An American judge has ruled that Harry's visa application must be released by tomorrow.
Happy St Patrick's Day. Today we're hoping to bring you the luck of the Irish as GB News heads to Downpatrick for the annual festivities.
Wasn't sure there were any festivities in Downpatrick, but that's where Patrick is buried. And there she is, the Princess of Wales, and she's Colonel of the Irish Guards. So she will meet the Guards and their big Irish wolfhound called Seamus to celebrate St Patrick's Day. It's a great name for a dog. Here, Seamus, Seamus, Seamus. But Seamus is the size of a human being.
He is big.
He is big.
We'll see him a bit later on. Shakespeare's birthplace is set to be decolonised over concerns that the playwright promoted white supremacy. We'll be speaking to Downton Abbey actor Peter Egan later on this morning.
So in the sport, after 70 years, as we found out, Newcastle have won their first major domestic trophy after beating Liverpool 2-1 in the Carabao Cup final at Wembley. Whilst in the Premier League, Arsenal and Manchester United win, Spurs lose. Again. In tennis, Brit Jack Draper has won his biggest title yet at India Wells in California. And for St Patrick's Day, the unofficial 5th major in golf is the Players' Championship. And Rory McIlroy is in a 3-hole playoff, and that's going to be later today to try and win it.
Hello, good morning. We've got plenty of fine and settled weather in store across the UK today with high pressure dominating. There'll be some sunshine, but temperatures are still pretty disappointing for the time of year. I'll have all the details later.
Hello there on this St Patrick's Day, the 17th of March. Cade Miller, Fulcher, 100,000 welcomes. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
So on this St Patrick's Day, Ellie is involved in detective work trying to find out where St Patrick is from.
Turns out we were wrong.
Where is he?
He's not from Turkey. So at the end of the last hour, we said he was from Turkey. That's St George.
That's St George is from Turkey, yeah.
We got our saints confused. He's actually northern, would you believe? He's from what would be modern-day northern England.
Oh, is he? So he's English?
Yeah,
I heard he was from Wales.
Well, yeah, he's maybe a bit confused.
Anyway.
But
How do we
North
feel about
England,
that?
and then he came over to Ireland, where he was enslaved for several years. And then
But he saved us from the pagans.
Was that on the start? I thought it was the snakes.
Oh, that as well.
I thought he saved you from the
Snakes.
snakes.
Oh, he did that as well.
Oh.
But
He was a busy man.
He turned the Irish people towards Christianity.
Right.
Out of their pagan ways.
Yeah.
Can I ask you both a question as a non-Irish person?
Yes.
Is it seen as OK for an Englishman to celebrate St Patrick's Day, or do you look at that and think, oh, look at you?
No,
Who do you think you are
I think
celebrating
it's an
St Patrick's
all-encompassing day. And
yeah, you think that's OK?
I think we've got the
everyone's
best.
welcome.
We've got the best National Saints Day of any. We're better than Wales. We're better than Scotland. We're better than England.
Ooh.
Why? I'd happy celebrate the Scottish St Andrews, the St George, St David. I would happily celebrate them all. I'd happy be Welsh for a day. English for a day, Scottish for a day.
Bastille Day in France, what about that one?
I'd be all for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I'd be up for all of that.
All of that.
Have your daffodils for St David.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have your haggis for St Andrews.
Do you know,
what you're doing,
we're
France,
talking
now.
about the football, and the headlines are great in the back of the papers. Party time is something they're all going on. And after the League Cup win yesterday. And my first ever experience of English League football was Manchester United against Newcastle.
Was it really?
Absolutely.
What year?
Away the lads.
What year was this?
1972. And Best, Law and Charlton played in that game.
Who was playing for Newcastle? Was Malcolm McDonald, Super Mac, was he there then in 72?
No, far too early
before that. Alan Kennedy was probably there. Alan Kennedy, who went to Liverpool.
I've no idea. I was so besotted looking at Manchester United and being at Old Trafford for the first time, and I was lifted over the turnstiles. I remember that.
Wow.
Things that would happen that you wouldn't do now. I mean, my dad, we came in the boat, we were arrested in Liverpool.
What?
We were arrested. My dad was arrested because he had no ID, no identification. So the only reason we got out on the same boat was from our family doctor, our GP, Dr. Paul McComb. And I always remember him standing, looking at, I was a 10-year-old, I'm looking, and he's going, I have taken the Hippocratic Oath, and you dare question me what I'm saying. He shouted at the special branch officer.
Oh, did he?
About, yeah. Anyway, we got released, then we're put in a bus, and then we're put in a train, and we end up at Old Trafford, and then we've got tickets for the wrong part of the ground. So my dad lifts me and my brother over the turnstiles, and then my dad went to the Stretford end. So we were completely separated, you know.
Wow.
And how old were you?
10.
Oh, my.
So tell me, did you have, because the thing is, I always hear this story, and everybody always says it, and how true it is. Were you there in the stands and they say, oh, yeah, back in the day, you'd stand at the back when you could, and everybody would pass you down to the front. I don't believe that's true. Did that really happen?
It is true. Yes.
It is true?
It's true, yeah,
Pass the kids
absolutely.
down to the front.
But I do say that I have no love, no desire to stand anywhere. Well, I could. Well, actually, I would. If I could stand, I would.
Sure.
But none. All I remember is people urinating around you, and they still. The last time I did that was at the National Stadium in Cardiff, where we were in the FA Cup final. It was United against, was it Millwall? We were playing in the cup final, and they were just peeing everywhere.
I can honestly say I have never seen that or experienced that at a football match.
Well, it depends how drunk, I suppose, you are, or how common your ticket is.
Yeah, no, seriously though, wherever I've been and going to away grounds, I've never looked and thought, whoa, never done that.
I've seen everything. I've seen men my age.
Is this
fighting...
a Manchester United thing? Because Spurs, you know, maybe it's a different class.
No, I've seen Reading supporters in their 50s or 60s having huge rows with 10-year-old children who just happen to be waving a flag or something.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's not very nice.
That's not nice.
No.
That's very true.
But anyway, that story couldn't happen now, the one you just told, because the GP wouldn't know who you are. You wouldn't have a family GP who could vouch for you, would you?
No.
Just thinking, couldn't
It's a
happen
whole
now.
other story.
That's a whole other story.
Paul will be back very shortly, reliving the League Cup final yesterday, 7 minutes past 8.
The government will unveil a major overhaul of the disability benefit system tomorrow, meaning only the most severely disabled will be able to qualify.
OK, all of this is over criticism that Britain is over-diagnosing things like mental health conditions. How real are they, for instance? People get to claim disability benefits for anxiety, for depression, and that has gone up, it's doubled in the past 10 years. Here's what the Health Secretary had to say.
Should you be getting a PIP payment for ADHD, yes or no?
I think it very much depends on the nature of the condition and the severity.
ADHD, a
These things are a
PIP payment.
spectrum, so I think it very much depends. We are looking at this whole issue of eligibility, and we are looking at this whole issue of overdiagnosis, because I am concerned that we have overdiagnosis of these conditions.
Let's now talk to political commentator Mike Parry on all of this. Mike, good morning. Very good to see you, and really interesting to hear your opinion over this, because there's a growing rebellion within the Labour Party on this, and I must admit I see the validity of this. I mean, here is a socialist party, a party that's supposed to be standing up and representing ordinary working people, people who are downtrodden, disadvantaged, whatever. And here we've got the chameleon, the shapeshift, what is he called? Shift shares, whatever he is, Starmer. Starmer, who basically will be anybody you want him to be. One stage you'll be voting with Jeremy Corbyn to say, oh, we should have benefits for everybody. Now he's completely different identity now. Where do you stand in this? What's your view on this? What's your take, my friend?
Well, like you, Eamonn, and maybe Ellie as well, I'm completely confused about which face we take of Keir Starmer. He hasn't just got two faces, he's got a multiple number of faces, depending on who he is or where he is. If he's on the world stage, he has his statesman-like look on his face. If he's back in Britain, he seems to be hiding from some of these severe policies, which a lot of people think are going to make the country much poorer. And I'm talking about the economic policies of Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, and at the same time, turning full circle again and attacking those who thought they could most rely on the Labour Party, and that is people who take benefits off the government. Now, we all know that when the benefit system in this country was started, it was a safety net, not a way of life. But if you look at the figures that we've been reading about over the last 2 or 3 weeks, 10 million people in this country are economically inactive. The number of people on benefits has soared massively, about 40% since before COVID. All of a sudden, Labour say, we're going to get tough on this, I'm going to cut it all back, except the newspaper headlines this morning are indicating they're going to row back on that determination, and that's because they've got so many MPs now who are first-time MPs who've never had a job before in their lives outside of working in government or civil service, who know they will get a hammering from their voters. And if this has to be put through Parliament and has to be voted upon, then the constituents can find out whether their MP voted for it or not. And that's why there's a rebellion, because lots of backbench MPs are saying, I'm not voting to cut benefits on...
Here's the argument. They're going to say, oh, well, we were left with a £10 billion black hole and we've got to fill it somewhere, whatever. I put it to you, if you put you or me in government and we sat round the cabinet table, I could save you 10 billion quid tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree with you. I mean, Rachel Reeves said it initially, it's a £22 billion black hole. That's been discredited even by the number crunchers in the civil service, in government, Office of Budget Responsibility and others. But if you ask anybody, In the transfer of one government to another, there is usually a difference of about 10 billion quid in the way they weigh up the finances on each side. But remember, because people don't, Rachel Reeves gave 12 billion quid away to the public sector, to the unions who are her friends, and that has created a massive hole in the budget because of her policies. I'm afraid the cost of borrowing to this country is going up, meaning it's removed her headroom of about 10 billion quid to be able to do things she wanted to do. Rachel Reeves is making a huge mess of things. Just to get back to what you were saying about Keir Starmer again, it's all very well him striding the world like a world statesman, I'll solve the war, we'll send our troops to Ukraine. But I think you're going to find within 2 or 3 weeks, the economy is going to be in very bad shape because all those initial policies, like putting up national insurance, like making employers pay more money, putting more red tape into business, all those are going to kick in. Inflation's going to take off. People are going to lose their jobs. It's not going to be a very pleasant scenario in the next month.
I don't know if you've seen the front page of the Daily Mail this morning, but it's a new report from PwC. 1 in 4 young people want to quit the workforce entirely. And the most frequent reason that they're using and citing is mental health. So this is the scale of the challenge that is facing the Labour Party, isn't it? How do you incentivise young people to actually want to go to work when they feel as though they'd be better off on benefits?
I totally agree with you. In fact, there's a more horrifying headline on the front of the Daily Telegraph, which says 4 out of 10 of Gen Z are considering full-time non-work rather than getting into employment. That's 40% of these people. I can't understand where all this has come from, because a bit like Eamonn, and I'm sure yourself, Ellie, I've always had about 2 or 3 jobs. Ever since I was at a paper round at the age of 12, I've worked almost every day. I've had jobs when I've had jobs, and I've been a journalist, I've done something else. And I can't get my head around Gen Z. I do know that the Gen Z view that we shouldn't be expected to work 5 days a week from 9 to 5. I know that is very strong because, I mix with, young people, friends of my nephew and my niece, and they have this attitude. They definitely have this attitude. One of them said to me quite specifically, you won't get me working 9 to 5. You won't get me going to an office. I'm going to do something else. And I said, well, what else are you going to do? He didn't know what he was going to do. Just, I'm not going to be like you. And all my life, all I wanted is a decent day's pay for a decent day's work, but they do not see that as a principle by which they want to adhere to.
No. And Mike, just as we look at our poll today that we're asking, Starmer's idea, I suppose, is quite popular, and that is cutting benefits. It's a sort of conservative policy, but he's saying, we're asking today in the poll, should the crackdown on sickness pay happen in a bid to get people back to work? 85% of people say yes. So we'll bring a final result with Martin Dobney at 3 o'clock. Mike, got to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. And let us know what you think on that story. Has there been a death of the work ethic in this country? gbnews.com/you'll say.
Well, there'll be very little work done in Ireland today. Céad Míle Fáilte, that's Happy St Patrick's Day. We do our national day bigger and better than anybody else, better than the Scottish, better than the Welsh, better than the English. So it is Happy St Patrick's Day. Millions of people, not only in Ireland, but across Britain, across the world, are gathering to mark the occasion.
Well, several parades are set to start at midday, with Belfast promising to celebrate through the Irish language, music and community.
Let's go to our Northern Ireland reporter, Doug Beattie, who's in Downpatrick. Céad Míle Fáilte, my friend, happy St Patrick's Day.
Nice hat.
Happy St Patrick's Day to you one and all, and welcome to Downpatrick. This, of course, is the burial place of St Patrick, and it has beautiful parades every single year, and it's done in cooperation with Down District Newry and Mourne Council. And joining me now is Conor Galbraith. Conor, you're the head of the communities in this, chairperson. What sort of benefits does it bring to the town?
Well, we're going to have the absolute joy of seeing up to at least 10,000 people here today, where they're going to see dancing, they're going to hear music, there's marching bands, there's going to be St Patrick, who's with us here this morning, and then we have the stage beside us where we're going to see the country singer Cleona, where it's going to continue after the parade at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
So it'll go well into the evening. What sort of money does this create? What sort of revenue does it create for the council?
Well, it's not going to create much for the council, so it's not, but I'm sure it's going to bring plenty for the shops and the bars and the restaurants and the vendors that are around in the entertainment village there.
Well, you can see that's the financial side of it, but the historical side of it, of course, I've heard you asking where St Patrick came from. Well, he was from England, and he was stolen by Irish pirates and brought across, and we have with us the St Patrick that will lead the parade today. How are you, sir?
All good. Lovely morning.
Tell us a bit about what you're wearing here.
So there's a few different items of clothing. You'll see that I'm not wearing green. Traditionally, St Patrick is seen wearing green, but in actual fact he probably wore a blue colour under. That was what most Christian missionaries were wearing at the time, supposedly. You see they've got the shawl over it with a penannular brooch. This was a common item for holding up cloaks, things like that. And of course I have my shepherd's crook as I maintain the masses in the flock.
Well, there you go, you see, and that was the whole point. Chasing the snakes out of Ireland was actually the Druids had snakes on the heads of their canes, and he brought Christianity to Ireland, and of course that was the end of those pagan symbols. So yeah, St Patrick had a lot to do, but there will be revelling and a lot of celebrating here tonight in Downpatrick and right across the province. And of course, as you've already said, St Patrick's Day is celebrated right across the UK and indeed the world, and we do it so much better than any other patron saint.
And yeah, Sláinte to you, yeah, as well, my friend. I just want to clear something up, Dougie, because you and I are opposite religions and whatever. And when I was growing up, not a lot of Protestant people felt they could be associated with St Patrick's Day. It was seen as a nationalist or Catholic festival, and it was quite religious from my point of view. That changed, didn't it?
Well, it has. It's changed in the last 25, 30 years, and that's mainly to do with culture itself and people realising that, you know, both Protestants and Catholics are evangelical Christians. They worship the same God. It may be in a different way, different church, but they pretty much are based on the same evangelical and Christian values. And of course, that gives us to our culture, how we live our lives, how our everyday morals are decided. And really, people have started twigging on to celebrate their own culture, to celebrate their religion, which is part of their culture. That's their flag, that's their religion, that's their music. It's lovely, and they can all celebrate it together. So many things in Irish history are crossed over. You look at the bodhrán, you look at the flute, you look at the drums. They all go through every single religion, and most of the problems came in Ireland actually with what was seen as the plantation, that were Scottish, Presbyterians. The native Irish that were here were mainly Catholics, and of course religion has been a dividing factor across the world, but in Northern Ireland it has really, I suppose, there's much more immigrants and so forth come in, and other minor cultures are put in front of our own cultures, that people have came together and decided to come together and realise that.
Well, have a happy one. Thank you very much, Dougie. Great talking to you. Thank you very much indeed.
Happy St Patrick's Day, Dougie. Sláinte.
Sláinte. So at 11 o'clock today, we would have gone to Mass in St Patrick's Pro Cathedral. And then be blessed by a relic, a bone of St Patrick's hand.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
And this would be in what?
The bone. Would it touch you?
No, it's in the
just hold it aloft, yeah.
No, it's in a silver hand, and the bone is inside it. And you can see the bone. And anyway, you're blessed with that. It's an Irish Mass. It's said in Irish, so it is.
Will you be going to Mass today?
I will. Good. I will. Yeah, it's a national day. It's part of the day. Let's get the weather update. Mark, good morning.
Despite the morning rain, it'll be a nice, warm, cosy day ahead. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll see plenty of sunshine across the UK today, a lot of fine weather in store, but temperatures are still pretty disappointing for the time of year. High pressure is generally in charge at the moment, and that's giving plenty of sunshine across the northwest of the UK this morning. Quite a frosty start here though. Elsewhere more in the way of cloud around, and that's making the frost more patchy, and also the cloud thick enough down towards the southwest to give 1 or 2 showers during the first part of the day. As we head through into the afternoon, cloud will tend to increase across the northwest, and on the whole, many southern and western parts of the UK will see a fair bit of cloud around, with the best of the sunshine by this point across the east and southeast of England, and temperatures in the range 7 to 10 Celsius. 10 down towards the southeast is 50 in Fahrenheit. So we end the afternoon with quite a bit of sunshine across the mainland of Scotland, a bit of patchy cloud up towards the Northern Isles, and across some southern and central parts of mainland Scotland there. For Northern Ireland, also some patchy cloud around with the best of the sunshine across the east of Northern Ireland, whereas for England and Wales, a bit of an east-west split to end the day. Certainly a fair bit of cloud across Wales and the southwest of England, with the best of the late sunshine reserved for some central and eastern southeastern parts of England. Going into the evening then, through the overnight period, the cloud will tend to push away towards the northwest of the UK. That allows skies to clear from the southeast across most areas. We'll pay the price for that though as we go into the early hours of Tuesday. Notice the blue colours appearing on the chart quite widely, indicating a pretty widespread frost as we go into the early hours of Tuesday. Temperatures across parts of Scotland could dip down to -7, even -8 Celsius by Tuesday morning itself. Even further south, temperatures a few degrees below freezing. So we start Tuesday then with that frost around, and that will only slowly lift across some southern and central parts of Scotland there, and elsewhere with plenty of sunshine around though, and fairly gentle winds. It shouldn't feel too bad out and about. That sunshine pretty much wall to wall for many parts of the UK. Just a bit of patchy cloud there towards the far northeast and an isolated shower there. But notice the temperature still pretty disappointing in the range 6 to 11 Celsius.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's our spring giveaway, the Great British Giveaway, and your chance to win a fabulous what?
Designer handbag.
It's just
for the lady in your life.
What's the money? Never mind that. How much the money?
Oh, sorry. 2 designer watches and £17,777 in tax-free cash.
That does it for me. Have a go.
Spring has sprung with a great British giveaway, and we're giving you the chance to splash out this season with an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash. Jet off on your dream holiday, treat yourself to something special, or just save it for a rainy day. You'll also receive 2 brand new designer watches and a Mulberry handbag, so you can really look the part this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, we're going to be talking about Shakespeare. And a question for you this morning. Was he a white supremacist? Some people think so. Find out more in just a moment.
Do you care? Debate it with us.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Now, Egypt has discovered, well, I think it was a British and Egyptian team actually, finding the historic discovery, the long-lost tomb of King Thutmose II, the last of the lost tombs of the kings of ancient Egypt's 18th dynasty.
Yes, and it's the first royal Egyptian tomb to be discovered since King Tutankhamun's final resting place was found in 1922.
A very exciting discovery, and here to tell us all about it is the historian and author Martin Whittock. Martin, the first royal tomb since Tutankhamun.
Indeed, indeed, and identified as King Thutmose II. Other pronunciations are also available. And as you say, it's the last of the lost tombs of Egypt's 18th dynasty. They ruled between about 1550 BC and 1292 BC. It had been known before this tomb since 2022 as Tomb C4, as its occupant was then unknown. But what's happened now is parts of alabaster vessels have been found which have inscriptions bearing the name of Pharaoh Thutmose II and identifying him as the deceased king, along, interestingly, with the name of his wife, Hatshepsut. Now, she's an interesting woman because after he died, she ruled as pharaoh in her own right, one of only 2 women to do so in ancient Egyptian history. Now, the mummy of King Thutmose II was actually discovered during the 19th century at a nearby archaeological site known as Deir el-Bahari Kashet, and it's thought it was moved there after it had been looted by tomb raiders centuries ago. So the tomb is not going to give us the kind of treasures that we associate with Tutankhamun, I'm afraid, but it shows us the architecture of these royal tombs.
GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Eamonn, this is a line for you.
Why is it for me?
Because I thought you'd enjoy it.
Wokio, wherefore art thou, Wokio?
Exactly. Well, the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust has said it will decolonise its extensive museum collections after claiming that the playwright's legacy has been used to advance ideas of white supremacy.
Who's decolonising their library? Who was that?
Shakespeare apparently is a white coloniser.
What library was?
The Shakespeare Birthplace Trust.
Never heard of it.
They're in Stratford-upon-Avon.
What's the point of having a birthplace trust if
well,
they're
they look after the archives and the museum.
Obviously, they're not going to look after it anymore.
They want to bring it up to the modern era, make it more politically correct.
OK.
What
do you
make
of this?
Of that? Yeah.
Right. OK. Let's find out now. We're joined by the actor Peter Egan. Peter, my friend. Good morning, Peter. Happy St Patrick's Day, because I know the Irish runs in you.
Happy St Patrick's Day to you too.
Happy St Patrick's Day.
Yeah, thank you very much, my friend. Now, Shakespeare, there you are. You're an esteemed actor. You've done, I'm sure, a good few of the Bard's plays in your time and all that sort of thing. I don't know where you stand on this. Where do you stand on this?
Well, I'm actually very, very interested in it. I want to research it more. I think it bears examination. I mean, let me first of all say that I think that Shakespeare is the greatest writer of his generation. He did introduce the Renaissance to British theatre, and that it means introducing the third dimension of complexity into British playwriting. And as such, he is now regarded as the prominent Renaissance writer. When I was at school, whenever Shakespeare came up on the curriculum, I can remember moaning and thinking, oh, God, no, because I didn't understand it and I didn't understand the language. And it was only when I first began to watch great Shakespearean performances and became an actor myself that I began to understand the great complexity that he brings to his work and to the theatre. And that is evident in that he is the most quoted writer in history and is still performed and interpreted throughout the world.
Is that the only thing he should be judged on?
Well, I think I think the work is the only thing he should be judged on. But if we look at a situation, like, for instance, they are banning Shakespeare in some schools in the curriculums in America now. So they're actually wiping it out. And I think that is a big, big mistake. And they're wiping it out because of this idea of the colonization of white imperialism. Now, what I think needs to be examined is if there is an argument for that. And I think that I find very sad, Eamonn, in our modern world, is the misuse and the abuse of the term woke. I mean, I'm very much in favor of woke because I think that woke represents civil liberties and freedom, and coming from its origins in 1933 in the Black movement. So it's now used very conveniently as, I don't wish to face an issue, I call it woke, in my opinion. So I think that there is a good argument to examine the idea of Shakespeare being used as an imperialist tool, if that is the case. And having looked at a bit of it, and I'm very pleased to have been asked to kind of make comment. I'm not an academic, and I'm not an expert, but it has made me rethink and look at certain things. And it's great to see that in various countries, Shakespeare is being used in its storyline and being interpreted in personal cultural arguments. And people may say, well, look, well, then why don't you write a new play yourself? But that, I think, doesn't achieve the same thing as examining a great text by a great writer like Shakespeare and seeing if it is open to stretching it and bring it into the modern day. I mean, you see great, I mean, look at the great Baz Luhrmann's great film, Romeo and Juliet. Look at Olivier's great films, Richard III and Henry V. I've seen wonderful musical interpretations of Shakespeare. I've seen all black productions of Macbeth, which were riveting and magnificent. So I do think it bears examination. I'm not in any way frightened by this. And I think that, yes, the Shakespeare Trust in Stratford-upon-Avon is a bit dusty. And I think it's not going to fall apart by being examined.
OK, Peter Egan, good to see you this morning and good to get your thoughts on that.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Very interesting what Peter's had to say as a woke person about all of this. Your views very, very welcome. The spokesperson for the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust issued this statement. As part of our ongoing work, we have undertaken a project which explores our collections to ensure they are as accessible as possible. What does that mean? Nothing. Interesting anyway. OK.
Let us know what you think on that one, gbnews.com/you'll say. Do stay with us. Still to come, we're going to be crossing live to Newcastle, where I bet people haven't even gone to bed yet after their victory over Liverpool in the Carabao Cup yesterday. Tony Maguire is there for us. Have people even gone to bed yet, Tony? Are they still out?
Away the lads is what they're all saying this morning, and certainly everybody is still riveted after last night's performance, ending that 70-year run of no domestic silverware, in which time Liverpool, of course, their opponents last night, have got 38 trophies, so we'll be having a little catch-up on last night's magic moments.
Good man, see you after this. Cheers.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. On the M74 in Glasgow, there's a lane closed southbound where someone's broken down at junction 1 for the M8, causing delays. On the M60 in Greater Manchester, all lanes have reopened anti-clockwise where someone broke down between junctions 11 and 10 from Barton to the Trafford Centre. There are still long delays though, with queues from junction 18 at Simister Island. In Suffolk on the A14, there's a lane closed westbound where a lorry's broken down between junctions 40 and 39 from Higham to Kentford, causing queues. In Warwickshire, the A452 is closed northbound along Europa Way from the A425 towards Leamington for emergency repairs after a lorry caught fire on Friday morning. In Hertfordshire, the A41 is closed each way between Tring and Berkhamsted after an accident. On the M26 in Kent, it's taking nearly half an hour, and queues approaching the M25 because of roadworks. And Stone and ferry sailings between Penzance and the Isles of Scilly remain cancelled.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here with an exclusive opportunity just for you, our incredible GB News viewers. We're giving you the opportunity to win a VIP studio tour right here at GB News HQ. Plus, you'll also get to meet yours truly. It's easy to enter, just head to gbnews.com/community competition and follow the easy steps. Don't miss out, enter now, and I'll see you soon at GB News. Full T's and C's apply.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. Maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
We're going to reflect on the League Cup final very, very shortly. There was other football played yesterday. It was all quite interesting. Paul, tell us more.
There was. Arsenal beat Chelsea last night or yesterday afternoon. It was a pretty uninteresting game, to be honest with you. So Arsenal are now 12 points away from Liverpool, who played in the Carabao Cup final and lost, of course, but it should be Liverpool's title to lose. Fulham beat Spurs 2-0. Did you know it's the 15th loss of the season for Spurs in the Premier League?
You know, you used to look at a game like Fulham and think, well, that's 3 points. You'll get the points there.
Yeah.
But they're a good team.
They are a good team. They are a good team, and Spurs never win there, and Fulham certainly deserved it. 15th loss in the Premier League for Tottenham. It's the most since 2008-2009.
What does this mean for Ange?
I don't...
Could it mean...
Don't know.
All right.
See, the thing is, because Spurs are still in the Europa League, and she's still going to be there.
We could be playing you in the Europa League.
Can you imagine? Yeah. In Bilbao? Would we do the show from Bilbao?
I think we should.
I think that would be very nice.
Yeah.
But the chances of Spurs v Manchester United in the final of the Europa League?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? Because Manchester United, of course, beat Leicester very easily last night, 3-0.
Yeah.
So that was OK. Celtic lost to Rangers. First win at Celtic for nearly 5 years. But the other one in Scotland that I really like the story of is Dundee beat their neighbours, Dundee United. Now, they are so close. They are the 2 closest major football clubs. I think we've got a picture of how close they are.
Physically close.
Look at that. Yeah, look at that. 200 yards away from each other.
That's incredible.
But still, Dundee, they could, their ground... One thing, but at Dundee United's ground, if they moved 200 yards away, they couldn't win. And it's the first time they've won at Tannadice for 21 years.
The ground looks smaller. There's a big section missing there, isn't it?
I know, but there you go. But 21 years is the first time they've won, so well done to them. Jack Draper, now I want to mention Jack Draper.
He's very good.
He's very good.
He beat Alcaraz.
Alcaraz in the semi-final. Well, he played Holger Rune yesterday, who's the world number 13, and he won, which is one, they call it like the 5th Grand Slam, which is Indian Wells in California. So he won 6-2, 6-2. He's now number 7 in the world, and he was terrific. And finally, Rory, we should mention Rory. How about this for St Patrick's Day? If Rory can win the Players' Championship today, 3.5 million quid for the winner.
Gosh.
Not bad going, is it?
Not bad work if you can get it.
And you had a Brit winning the Grand Prix in Australia.
Yeah, we do. Can I finish Rory, though? I've got a bit more of Rory. But Rory, he was 3 shots up with 5 to play. JJ Spawn. This is something that happened, Eamonn, just the other day, and this is for the practice round at the Players. Now, have a look at this. This is Rory going up to a fan. Now, he walks over because this fan was heckling him, and he was obviously filming it to then put it on social media. So what does Rory do? Give me the phone. Give me the phone. And he walks away with his phone. And he said, well, if you're going to film me and heckle me and you're going to do this, I'll have your phone. So he just took it away.
He stole it.
Stole the phone. Stole the kid's phone. Yeah.
Oh.
How do you feel about that?
I think Rory might be in trouble for that.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, maybe he'll probably buy him a new phone, but without that. But what he did was he filmed something and said, I don't like it when people talk. I don't know whether the kid got his phone back or not, but he actually stole the phone and walked away. And nobody could say anything about it.
Great story for the kid, though, when he goes back to school.
Yeah, Rory stole my phone.
More reaction coming in to the Newcastle win. We go to...
Tony Maguire, who's there for us. Morning, Tony.
Good morning, good morning. Indeed, well, what a night it was for Newcastle fans last night. You know, I'm going to spare our viewers another rendition of Away the Lads, but certainly I don't think my accent can quite pull it off. But even up far north, I can tell you, we know two things about Magpies. One's for sorrow, two for joy, and that certainly wasn't the case on the score sheet last night. Number two, they love something extremely shiny, and of course, for the first time in 70 years, a domestic trophy has been added to the trophy cabinet in the building behind me here in Newcastle. Now, it's been slightly less time, of course, on the European side, about 56 years. But can you imagine, Liverpool's actually added 38 trophies to their cabinet since the last time Newcastle picked up anything. Those two goals, of course, coming not too far away from the half time. It just had fans going over the top, and as you've maybe just heard a couple of minutes ago, people are beeping their horns there, and it's just rather a small line of cameras here. So big night for fans up here in Newcastle. Can't wait to talk to more of them as the morning progresses.
Thank you, Tony. Right, Paul. 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy,
3 for a girl,
4 for a boy,
5 for silver, 6 for gold, 7 for a secret never to be told. Magpie.
It's a wish.
Oh, I didn't know that. I only remember the TV
kiss.
theme.
10 is a bird you cannot miss.
Oh.
Magpie.
How far does it go?
10.
Goes up to
I've
365.
only ever heard it up to gold.
No, that used to be the theme music for the ITV equivalent. The ITV equivalent of Blue Peter.
That's right.
Oh, well,
that was right. Back after this, we've got the paper review.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello, here's your latest winter sun forecast brought to you by the Met Office. There'll be some unsettled weather across Iberia over the next few days. Elsewhere, some sunshine and a few showers too. As for Tuesday, we can expect a few showers across the Canaries, Madeira, some more persistent rain across parts of Spain and Portugal. The central Med looks brighter, 1 or 2 showers around, and then we run into some more persistent rain again across parts of Greece with some hill snow in places here too. As for the rest of the week, well, there'll be some warm sunshine to contend with, 1 or 2 showers too, and some more persistent rain out across western spots.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
Because you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel. I'm Michelle Dewberry, and this is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Patrick Christie's Tonight, weekdays from 9 p.m.
Well, let's talk about something that has really divided opinion now. So this is King Charles gearing up for a religious festival, not Easter, Ramadan, packing dates for Muslims, observing a month of fasting. Here's the clip.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't realize the king would be so fast. You are packing dates faster than I can see them.
What do you make of that, Charlie?
Well, I don't see any problems with it. I mean, let's not forget that the royals, particularly the king, does an awful lot of work with a variety of charities, especially those charities that help people who are, down on their luck or need a bit of extra boost. This one is a doorstep charity which provides help to people waiting for new homes. Now, you mentioned this one. This is for Ramadan. Now, in a month's time, Patrick, he'll be doing the Easter service a Christian festival, and he'll on the day before Good Friday he'll be donating the Monday money that comes out every year to 30-odd pensioners. It's not a princely sum. They're not going to be able to pay the winter fuel outs, or it's not going to cover anything like that. But it is symbolic. Now, he does an awful lot of things. And remember, years and years ago, Charles has always said he didn't want to be defender of the faith. He wanted to be defender of all faith. So it's only right that the king fosters good relationships with a variety of religions.
As well, Charles, thank you very much. Always a pleasure to have you on.
All the
Good to
best.
see you again, mate. It's been a little while. Charlie Ray there.
GB News, the People's Channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
We're going to get our teeth into food now in the company of Dawn and Susan. And Susan, in America, Ozempic is taking the market away from a lot of food companies.
Yes, it's the unforeseen consequence of the weight loss jabs is that apparently, according to this article in the Daily Mail, it takes away, not only does it help you lose weight, it takes away your appetite for junk food, which you'd think would be kind of good news, as millions of weight loss patients have stopped eating junk food and turning to fresh fruit and vegetables instead. But it's not good if you're a junk food manufacturer.
Oh, wow.
So they're trying to get around it by manufacturing new foods that are more acceptable or more attractive to the market of people who are on the Ozempic-style drugs. And it just sounds to me like awful stuff.
So what is it?
Well, a chicken stick wrapped in cellophane that can fit in your handbag. That depends on how big your handbag is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is with fake char grill lines made from caramel colouring. And then other things which have lashings of sweetener. Chicken tacos where an endive leaf is replacing the usual tortilla. This all sounds completely horrible.
These will hardly be tender cuts of chicken or the best cuts of chicken.
It just all sounds horrible. And as somebody, I'm actually allergic to aspartame, the artificial sweetener.
Oh, yeah, some Diet Coke and things.
Yes, so sugar, your body knows what to do with. Those artificial kind of things that are meant to make it taste this way or replace that. Don't we all know by now the best way to lose weight is to eat less and move more?
Eat less and move more, absolutely.
It's as simple as that.
And try to avoid taking drugs. I mean, if you're type 2 diabetic, yeah, absolutely. But so many people who really don't need to lose weight taking these drugs. We don't know the.
Well, you'll just end up looking like all the Hollywood actresses now who've got great big lollipop heads.
Oh my God, yeah, they look
which I don't think
ridiculous.
is an attractive look particularly.
Yeah, it's stark, isn't it, when you see them at the award show?
But Susan, also then crumpets. Crumpets are on a bit of a comeback.
Yes. So do you remember the baked potato man who went big on TikTok and everyone was kind of just all drove to his little kind of shack where he was making baked potatoes? Well, crumpets are now taking over. How do you like your crumpet? Because apparently there are new, in interesting ways, also lots of restaurants are putting them on the menu with things like oxtail and tandoori crab topping them.
No, you don't need to complicate it.
I don't think you do.
Lots of butter.
Correct.
And some strawberry jam.
Well, I'm allergic to strawberries as well. So but marmalade. Marmalade. I know.
Marmalade would be nice, yeah.
Having an issue over here. But I do like a crumpet. And I do think crumpets with butter, there's nothing better. And you can't fake a crumpet, but they are now becoming the new hot food. Yeah.
Gosh, amazing. Now... No, I better be careful about this. Dawn, we want to talk a football story now, and why is it controversial? And is this part of today's woke society, or that there's a warning on the programme or whatever it is?
Go on, you're going to have to say it at some point, yeah. Censors have slapped a warning on a new football documentary because it includes the word balls.
Really? You're being serious?
I'm not making this up. I'm a tabloid journalist. Everything I say is the God's honest truth. No, this is serious. It's a story in the Daily Star today, so obvious it's true. England's Lions, the new generation, has been given a 12 rating by the British Board of Film Classification over the language used. It follows the journeys of young players like Cole Palmer, basically. And obviously it follows them on the training pitch. So some of the language, you know, that young men use amongst themselves is offensive, so there might be a few words in there. But one of the words that's been deemed offensive is balls.
Well, we looked up the 68 words you can't say on television. I won't go through them. No. I looked them up, but some of them, in context, would be absolutely fine.
Yes.
But once you've started this conversation... I mean, it's lucky that we did the story we did before, where I said crumpet a lot, because maybe that would be seen as kind of... It all depends on your context.
Back in the 1970s, crumpet had a whole different meaning.
Correct.
Yeah.
But there are 68 words you can't use, but I can't tell you any of them.
Well, we went through them all and Susan had a hot flush while doing it.
I didn't know some of them.
There's education for you this morning.
Yeah, but I can't tell you what we Googled. Anyway.
Should we talk about sharing baths?
Yeah, let's talk about sharing baths, Dawn.
Would you share a bath with someone?
No, disgusting. Would you?
Not even your fiancé?
I think that's gross.
If I could fit in a bath with someone, that would be interesting.
I don't like getting in a jacuzzi with people.
I think it's a bit gross.
What about your other half?
Well, no, see that.
Well,
it's fine.
What I mean.
Two adults can't fit in a bath.
No, they can't.
It depends on the size of the bath. What if you've got one of those big spa whirlpool baths, Eamonn? Come on, think like it. Any case. Water could be rationed by the 2030s. Eamonn, we've been here in the past. Eamonn could be rationed by the 2030s unless urgent action is taken to boost supplies. This is Minister Steve Reed, Environment Secretary, who is going to take a chainsaw, is the phrase, isn't it, to planning regulations to make sure water companies can build more reservoirs. Otherwise, we're all going to be on rations very, very soon. And they actually say, well, in many countries, like Mediterranean countries, this happens a lot. Yeah, but we have rain in this country. I mean, it doesn't stop raining.
You would think an island crisscrossed with rivers surrounded by sea we could manage. When we were in Vegas last, we were in Las Vegas, and they are ripping all the baths out of every hotel room and putting showers in to save water.
Yes.
And their reservoirs are so low that the barrels...
Well, if I could be somewhat controversial here, maybe get our utility companies to dig some holes in the ground.
Yes, that would be... Collect the rainwater.
Yes, you know, reservoirs.
The barrels containing bodies of the mafia of people and put in the reservoirs are now popping to the top in Las Vegas.
Oh, we haven't built a reservoir... And that's horrible, isn't it? We haven't built a reservoir in this country for 37 years. This isn't a political thing. It's not Labour or Conservatives. It's all governments. Just build reservoirs.
Yeah. But, you know, it doesn't matter where they decree there should be more factories or more people or more housing estates or whatever. It's never their fault. It's always our fault for existing.
Yeah.
And we're using too much water just because we
just smell a lot more. Thank you both very much indeed. Appreciated that. Sorry it was so short, but thank you very much indeed. Now, the weather today is going to be pretty nice. It's going to be pretty nice for a few days.
Nice all week.
Which is really good news. So
Hotter than Ibiza.
Yeah.
As the tabloid is saying, it's their favourite thing to say.
Yeah, but look at the rain there's been in Spain and the Canaries and all.
Maybe that's not saying a lot.
Awful.
Oh. Ibiza's meant to be quite chilly.
Marco, what's happening? Let us into the picture.
A chilly start will give way to a lovely, warm afternoon. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll see plenty of sunshine across the UK today, a lot of fine weather in store, but temperatures are still pretty disappointing for the time of year. High pressure is generally in charge at the moment, and that's giving plenty of sunshine across the northwest of the UK this morning. Quite a frosty start here, though. Elsewhere, more in the way of cloud around, and that's making the frost more patchy. And also, the cloud thick enough down towards the southwest to give 1 or 2 showers during the first part of the day. As we head through into the afternoon, cloud will tend to increase across the northwest, and on the whole, many southern and western parts of the UK will see a fair bit of cloud around, but the best of the sunshine by this point across the east and southeast of England, and temperatures in the range 7 to 10 Celsius. 10 down towards the southeast is 50 in Fahrenheit. So we end the afternoon with quite a bit of sunshine across the mainland of Scotland, a bit of patchy cloud up towards the Northern Isles, and across some southern and central parts of mainland Scotland there. For Northern Ireland, also some patchy cloud around with the best of the sunshine across the east of Northern Ireland, whereas for England and Wales, a bit of an east-west split to end the day. Certainly a fair bit of cloud across Wales and the southwest of England, with the best of the late sunshine reserved for some central and eastern southeastern parts of England. Going into the evening then, through the overnight period, the cloud will tend to push away towards the northwest of the UK. That allows skies to clear from the southeast across most areas. We'll pay the price for that, though, as we go into the early hours of Tuesday. Notice the blue colours appearing on the chart quite widely, indicating a pretty widespread frost as we go into the early hours of Tuesday. Temperatures across parts of Scotland could dip down to -7, even -8 Celsius by Tuesday morning itself. Even further south, temperatures a few degrees below freezing. So we start Tuesday then with that frost around, and that will only slowly lift across some southern and central parts of Scotland there, and elsewhere with plenty of sunshine around though, and fairly gentle winds. It shouldn't feel too bad out and about. That sunshine pretty much wall to wall for many parts of the UK. Just a bit of patchy cloud there towards the far northeast and an isolated shower there. But notice the temperature still pretty disappointing in the range 6 to 11 Celsius.
A nice bright morning will generate a lovely warm day, right through to the evening. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
The latest GB News travel.
Good morning, I'm Russell Holding. On the M60 in Greater Manchester, there are long anti-clockwise delays towards junction 13 at Worsley after a breakdown further round earlier. The queue's back along the M62 towards the M60. In Suffolk on the A14, there's a lane closed westbound where a lorry's broken down between junctions 40 and 39 from Higham to Kenford, causing delays. The M42 from Staffordshire into Warwickshire's partly blocked southbound by an accident between junctions 10 and 9 from Tamworth to Curdworth and Coleshill turn, causing delays. Also in Warwickshire, the A452 Europa Way is closed northbound from the A425 towards Leamington for repairs after a lorry caught fire on Friday morning. In Hertfordshire, the A41 is closed each way between Tring and Berkhamsted after an accident. On the M26 in Kent, it's taking nearly half an hour in queues approaching the M25 because of roadworks, and Sclolian ferry sailings between Penzance and the Isles of Scilly cancelled because of a technical problem.
You can stay up to date throughout the day by visiting our website, gbnews.com.
We're giving you the chance to splash out this season with an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash. Jet off on your dream holiday, treat yourself to something special, or just save it for a rainy day. You'll also receive 2 brand new designer watches and a Mulberry handbag, so you can really look the part this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent? I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Labour's welfare rift deepens.
The Health Secretary claims too many people are written off work as the government prepares to cut disability benefits.
Some backbenchers argue draconian cuts to welfare will leave millions on the breadline.
So will the party infighting force the government's U-turn on these plans?
The former head of Ofsted hits out at the Education Secretary, accusing Bridget Phillipson of putting the interests of unions ahead of children.
Well, were you there there yesterday? Were you part of that crowd last night in Newcastle? Geordies today will wake up bleary-eyed, one would have thought, as Newcastle beat Liverpool to win the Carabao Cup, their first domestic trophy in 70 years.
So I've been in Newcastle this morning, kind of talking to people about last night's historic win. 70 years since Newcastle added some domestic silverware to their trophy cabinet, and most of that time has been directing them to the nearest coffee shop for that much-needed hangover replacement refreshment. But we'll be talking to some of them later on.
Prince Harry's immigration files are to be made public. A US judge rules his visa application must be released by tomorrow.
Kid Miller Fulcher, 100,000 welcomes. Happy St Patrick's Day. The Luck of the Irish will bring that to you. Today we're live from Downpatrick, where St Patrick's tomb is.
And as Colonel of the Irish Guards, the Princess of Wales is set to make a solo visit to meet the Irish Guards to celebrate St Patrick's Day. She's also going to meet Seamus the dog. Cameron Walker has all the details.
What royal sources describe as a gradual return to public duties, the Princess of Wales will be taking part in the St Patrick's Day parade for the first time since 2023, taking the royal salute at Wellington Barracks next door to Buckingham Palace.
Hello, good morning. We've got plenty of fine and settled weather in store across the UK today, with high pressure dominating. There'll be some sunshine, but temperatures are still pretty disappointing for the time of year. I'll have all the details later.
Hey, it's now gone 2 minutes past 9. You're very welcome on this, the 17th of March, otherwise known as St Patrick's Day. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
We are gauging reaction from you, and we've been leading today with the government's plans to unveil a major overhaul of disability benefits. Now, this is going to happen tomorrow, and it certainly may be adapted because only the most severely disabled will be able to qualify for this, and there's a lot of push against this, isn't there?
There certainly is. Well, it follows criticism that the UK is overdiagnosing mental health conditions, with the number of people claiming disability benefits for anxiety and depression doubling in the past decade.
Wes Streeting is the Health Secretary. This is what he had to say.
Should you be getting a PIP payment for ADHD, yes or no?
I think it very much depends on the nature of the condition and the severity.
ADHD, a PIP
These things are a
payment.
spectrum, so I think it very much depends. We are looking at this whole issue of eligibility, and we are looking at this whole issue of overdiagnosis, because I am concerned that we have overdiagnosis of these conditions.
But with MPs already rebelling over the plans and the government backpedalling on proposals to freeze PIP payments, will they be able to push their reforms through? Well, that's a question for the Economic Secretary to the Treasury, Emma Reynolds, who joins us this morning. Good to see you this morning. Has there been a cabinet row over this? Because you appear to be at odds. You've got strong rhetoric there from Wes Streeting, but we're also hearing that that PIP freeze isn't going to take place.
Well, I'm not going to comment on media speculation, and there has been a lot of it in recent days, as you suggest. But the detail of our plans will be set out by Liz Kendall, the Work and Pensions Secretary, later this week. But we are determined to reform a failing system that is failing our young people. 1 in 8 young people not in employment, education or training. Nearly 3 million people of working age not in employment. As you would have just covered, we've seen a big increase in the numbers, and we are an international outlier. We're the only major economy whose employment rate hasn't recovered since COVID. So we are determined to reform the system so it stops failing people, but we will do that according to our values of equality and social justice, and we believe very much in the dignity of work. So those proposals will be set out in further detail by Liz Kendall later this week.
Emma, should you not be determined to look after sick people?
And we are, indeed. We set up the welfare state in 1945, and those with severe disabilities and the most vulnerable will be protected. We believe in the safety net, and we believe in helping those people.
You sound like like a Tory government. I mean, you look at scrapping NHS England, cutting the aid budget, increasing defence spending, cutting winter fuel payments for pensioners. I mean, the row over WASPy women, and now cuts to benefits. I mean, it's the Labour Party, but it seems to be in Tory clothing.
I'm sorry, but I would totally disagree with that. We had a budget in October that raised 40... Well, let me set that out and give me 2 seconds and I'll finish the end of my sentence. We have a Labour government that set out an ambitious budget in October, which is raising tax by about £40 billion. We are investing in our NHS and reforming our NHS because we were elected on a promise of change for the British people. We're going to get the NHS back on its feet, invest in our schools, recruit additional police officers. So we are not a Tory government. We're nothing like a Tory government. So I would refute those allegations. And with regard to social security reform, there is nothing progressive about locking that many people out of the labour market, because we believe in the dignity of work and we believe in tailoring support to enable those people who can work to get back into work.
Going to incentivise young people back in work then? Because I'm sure you've seen the headlines of the Daily Mail and the Daily Telegraph this morning that 1 in 4 Gen Z are considering quitting the workforce entirely, and the majority of them are citing mental health concerns.
There has been and is a significant problem with mental health problems, and I think that does have its roots in the pandemic. But as I said, we are an international outlier. More than 1 million young people not in employment, education or training. We've already established some pilots across the country to help young people, and it's about tailoring support and giving people the confidence to get back into work. So we will be setting out further details of that in due course, but it's a real focus for us in government.
Do you agree with Wes Streeting that Britain is over-diagnosing mental health conditions and people are just being written off?
Well, as Wes has said, we need to follow the evidence on this, but we have about 1,000 people every day claiming personal independence payments. That seems out of kilter with the prevalence of some of these conditions. We do need to help people and tailor their support, but we also need to look at the assessment system and see how that needs to be reformed. So yes, there are big problems here that we intend to solve, and as I've said, Liz Kendall will set out the package of measures in due course.
OK. Emma Reynolds, good to see you this morning. Thank you very much. Emma Reynolds is Economic Secretary to the Treasury. Thanks for your time.
Listening to that with is the political editor, Christopher Hope, with this one. I thought Ellie put it very well, where she said this is a Labour government this is a Conservative government dressed up in Labour clothing.
I think, Ellie's right. I mean, to make that point to them, the aid cut, the civil service reductions, the Quangos, NHS England going, the winter fuel payment, they're not bringing back the cap, the 2-child benefit cap. They appear to they've gone as far as they can maybe down that Tory route, because what they are not doing is the Tories wanted to cut the benefits bill by £12 billion by the end of the Parliament, while they're bulking at £6 billion, it seems, and tomorrow we may not get that freezing in the PIP benefit. She mentioned there, Emma Reynolds, of course, the Treasury Minister, about the tax increases they put in last budget in October. Well, that's what the Tories did too. The Tories ramped up taxes. So I think that comparison is exactly right. I'll go further and say maybe they're even putting on the clothes of Reform UK, because the cut to the aid budget and spending on defence, those are policies backed by Nigel Farage.
Are they trying to neuter the opposition with this?
They're moving right into the middle. They're moving right into the middle ground and challenging the challenger parties. Where do you go from here? So they're trying to push the Tories out to the right. The risk is, though, the further they go towards the centre, the right wing, which those policies are, it lets the Lib Dems take back support from them in other parts of the country. So it's risky for them.
And it upsets their backbenchers,
as you're hearing there.
As you're hearing
there. Now, these MPs are saying they're not being told enough. Again, we should hear tomorrow from Liz Kendall, who's the Benefits Secretary. She'll be setting out these plans. But as things stand, things need to be done. You've got this bill going up to 80 billion by 2028. It's gone up by 19.9 billion. I was struck, since before the pandemic, I was struck by a fact from PwC today. The UK is the only country with fewer people in work than before the COVID lockdown in 2020 in the G7 countries. The only country.
And why? I mean, would you care to speculate as to why that is?
Well, I mean, you look at what West Reading say, they're saying, overdiagnosis of mental health issues. The big issue, the big concern is this Gen Z group, born between 97 and 2012.
Yeah, but that's not going to change. I mean, I look at what's being done and policies that are being implemented in schools and the idea that counsellors should be placed in schools. That's not going to harden kids, it's going to soften them.
Maybe time for some tough love from the government to show, actually, is it right that you are allowing the ADHD and then people can get a PIP off the back of that? There's a big pushback now on Motability. Why do people who aren't physically disabled get Motability cars, a nice big car on the taxpayer?
Yeah, it's a policy that most people agree with. We're running our poll today, our question of the day, which we'll give you the result of after 3 o'clock today. And it's asking if you agree that this policy should be implemented. And 85% of you do agree with that. You say we should be harder on people who claim, all of which is tough if you are claiming and you need money and you need aid to get out into the world generally. What are you going to do if it's cut? Let us know. Have your say today. Christopher, thank you very much indeed.
Chris. And happy St Patrick's Day.
Absolutely. Look great in green.
Thank you. Where's your green tie?
Céad Mille Fáilte, we say to you, 100,000 welcomes. Today, the Princess of Wales is going to visit the Irish Guards. My grandfather was an Irish Guard.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I did one of those programmes, who do you think you are? And
you didn't know before?
You
didn't know before? You found out on the programme?
No, I knew he was an Irish Guard. What I didn't know was where their headquarters were, which is literally round the corner. Well, it's near Buckingham, nearly near Buckingham Palace or whatever. And then he was injured at the Battle of the Somme.
Oh.
And at the hospital, he was in for 6 months.
Oh.
Was immediately opposite the building I went into for 15 years of my life, GMTV.
Wow.
So literally, I would go out the front door, and that was his hospital immediately opposite it.
And you never knew?
Never knew.
What?
Never knew at all. Anyway, so the Princess is the colonel of their regiment, Wellington Barracks. There's a big St Patrick's Day parade today. Let's go there, and we've got Cameron Walker, who's going to tell us more. Cameron, good morning to you.
Good morning, Eamonn. Yes, a solo engagement from the Princess of Wales here. As you said, she is Colonel of the Irish Guards. It's part of her gradual return to public duties, according to royal sources, because, of course, last year's St Patrick's Day parade, she was secretly battling cancer. But this year, she is in remission and she is back on full fighting force. She will be stood on the dais a little bit later on this morning, where she will be taking the royal salute. The guardsmen will be marching past her. The Princess will also be awarding long service and good conduct medals to soldiers, and of course the traditional sprigs of shamrock will be out, and the Princess will be presenting the sprigs of shamrock to many guardsmen here. She'll also get a chance to meet the mascot, the Irish Wolfhound Seamus, as you've been discussing this morning. I've had a chance to meet Seamus on a couple of occasions covering the royal beat here for GB News, and it is a very cute dog, so I'm sure we'll get some pictures for you to watch on GB News a little bit later on today. The Princess, as I said, will be taking the royal salutes, but she will also be meeting some Irish Guards veterans, as well as the up-and-coming cadets from Northern Ireland who have travelled here to central London. They are known as Mini Mix. Junior ranks, the Princess will also be meeting in the dining hall afterwards, where senior guardsmen will be proposing a toast to their royal colonel, the Princess of Wales. So I suspect there'll be a number of pints of Guinness inside that dining hall, and the Princess may partake, as she did back in 2023. The Princess is also going to be meeting families of guardsmen. It's understood she has a real passion for supporting military families, particularly of the Irish Guards. So she'll be here a little bit later on today. Of course, it's a role she took over from Prince William in 2023.
Cameron, thank you very much. I'm excited to see the Princess of Wales, and I'm excited to see Seamus later as well.
Good. Our great spring giveaway, well, it could come your way. It's your chance to win a fabulous designer handbag, I'm told. 2 highly sought-after designer watches, I presume one male, one female, I would presume.
Yeah.
£17,777 in tax-free cash. That's 17,777, and it could be yours.
Spring has sprung with a great British giveaway, and we're giving you the chance to splash out this season with an incredible £17,777 in tax-free cash. Jet off on your dream holiday, treat yourself to something special, or just save it for a rainy day. You'll also receive 2 brand new designer watches and a Mulberry handbag, so you can really look the part this spring. For another chance to win the lot, text cash to 63232. One entry costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63232. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start from just £2. Call 0903 681 3232. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB12 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 6 p.m. on the 4th of April. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
More on the great win for Newcastle United yesterday in the League Cup final. I say that assuming you're not a Liverpool supporter. If you're a Liverpool supporter, you'd have something different to say it. Tony, we're back. We're with you. We're live there right after the break. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. It's a little cold here, but I'm certainly getting warmed by a lot of the stories that people are sharing with me going by. Certainly some people making really long trips to get here and obviously not regretting a single moment of it.
Great, Tony. We'll chat to you in just a second after this.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Camilla Tominey, for a frank and honest discussion with those in power that cuts through the spin and gets to the heart of the issues shaping our nation.
You haven't confirmed that you want to stand as leader, but you haven't ruled it out either.
This report basically says that he's not fit to stand trial. Is he indecisive? Incompetent? I deliver the dose of reality Westminster needs. That's the Camilla Tominey Show at 9:30 every Sunday on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The royal family is an enduring symbol of tradition, unity and pride for Britain. At GB News, we celebrate what makes this country great. In our new royal newsletter series, you can join me, Cameron Walker, for Inside the Palace, an exclusive look every week that takes you beyond the gates and brings you the very latest from those at the heart of the monarchy. Never miss a royal moment again. Sign up now. Go to gbnews.com/royal newsletter and get the latest straight to your inbox.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is the nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
A lot of football matches yesterday. The big one, the League Cup final at Wembley. Newcastle, Liverpool. Newcastle 2-1 winners with that one. And they did it well, it has to be said.
It was history for the Magpies, and Tony Maguire's in Newcastle for us this morning, where I can imagine there's lots of sore heads, Tony.
Yeah, I doubt very much that within 3 square miles of St James's Park here there's a single box of paracetamol anywhere to be found on the shelves. And indeed, what a night, certainly on social media. All of the Newcastle pop culture greats. You've got Ant and Dec going wild on the social media last night, but the only duo in town that anyone is talking about is Alexander Isak and Dan Burn, certainly taking those 2 goals to Newcastle's first piece of silverware, domestically speaking, anyway, in the last 70 years. And talking to people on the street here today, amongst sore heads, it has to be said, talking to quite a lot of people who made quite the trip. I was just talking there off camera to a lady who's all the way over from Ireland, and obviously given today's St Patrick's Day, well, she's in for a double dunt, but certainly she had come over just to fit in with the atmosphere, just to experience it with friends and family, walking hard and far to try and find a pub for her and her friends to possibly squeeze into. And then there was a father and son who had made the long journey up from Lichfield, where the gentleman, the dad of the pair, he was 78. So I asked him, obviously, you know, do you remember the last time Newcastle won anything here in the UK? And he indeed was. He was there at that Man City versus Newcastle match back in 1954. So that was the last time Newcastle has put anything. I'm sure some in the cleaners are in hard at work today inside the trophy room behind me to make it look in its best. And certainly the people here, well, sore heads as we say again, you know, very, very happy. A lot of just jubilant people coming up, a lot of horns beeping all the way around me. I'm glad we got at least a few minutes here of being able to talk uninterrupted, but the mood here is jubilant, as it will be, I imagine, for the rest of the week.
And are you a football fan, Tony?
I am, but I'd rather not talk about my own miserable football match yesterday, so I think we could put a pin in that Old Firm game for now, Eamonn.
What, you're either a Celtic supporter or a Dundee. You're a Dundee supporter, are you?
Yes.
Which one?
Yeah, no, I think with a name like Anthony Joseph Patrick Maguire from the East End of Glasgow, it probably sets me up relatively well with that one.
My claim to fame is I went to school with Martin O'Neill.
Is that right?
Yeah. No, it's wrong. I made
he's
that
one
up.
of the legends that we still look back to. Oh, come on, you know I'm gullible. What are you doing to me?
Good lad. We've got Andrew here with Beverly.
Thank you.
At 9:30.
I can't lend much to the football conversation, Ed,
No,
really.
no.
But I met some Newcastle fans on the tube, and they were so excited. They were from Whitby Bay, and they'd come down, and I'm so pleased they won.
It would have been a very long journey home, wouldn't it, if they had won?
Yeah.
What have you got for us today?
Obviously, we're going to the big row about welfare cuts in Labour, but also we're talking to Andrew Castle, the tennis player, because Jack Draper's got into the top 10, and people say he could be our next Wimbledon champion. Is he the new Andy Murray?
Well, let's hope so. That'd be nice, wouldn't it, to have a champion?
Yeah, very good.
Puts a lot of pressure on the lad, especially with Wimbledon approaching and all that sort of thing, but that's the way we go. Mr. Andrew, have a very good show. Thank you.
Happy St Patrick's Day.
Thank you, and I've got my first St Patrick's card this year.
Yeah, because you're Irish.
From my Irish family.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah,
Good.
very
You're
true.
Irish.
It's on the mantelpiece.
Very good.
Good to hear.
Patrick's Day.
We'll be back tomorrow morning to do it all again. Have yourselves a good day. Thanks for watching. Happy St Patrick's Day.
Here's the weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Hello, here's your latest weather update from the Met Office for GB News. We'll see plenty of sunshine across the UK today, a lot of fine weather in store, but temperatures are still pretty disappointing for the time of year. High pressure is generally in charge at the moment, and that's giving plenty of sunshine across the northwest of the UK this morning. Quite a frosty start here though. Elsewhere more in the way of cloud around, and that's making the frost more patchy, and also the cloud thick enough down towards the southwest to give 1 or 2 showers during the first part of the day. As we head through into the afternoon, cloud will tend to increase across the northwest, and on the whole, many southern and western parts of the UK will see a fair bit of cloud around, with the best of the sunshine by this point across the east and southeast of England, and temperatures in the range 7 to 10 Celsius. 10 down towards the southeast is 50 in Fahrenheit. So we end the afternoon with quite a bit of sunshine across the mainland of Scotland, a bit of patchy cloud up towards the Northern Isles, and across some southern and central parts of mainland Scotland there. For Northern Ireland, also some patchy cloud around with the best of the sunshine across the east of Northern Ireland, whereas for England and Wales, a bit of an east-west split to end the day. Certainly a fair bit of cloud across Wales and the southwest of England, with the best of the late sunshine reserved for some central and eastern southeastern parts of England. Going into the evening then, through the overnight period, the cloud will tend to push away towards the northwest of the UK. That allows skies to clear